What is going on, everybody? Sorry, I got caught typing a message. Welcome. It is Thursday, December 29th. There are less than 3 days remaining in the 2022, the year of 2022. I am joined by Foyet. Foyet, first of all, happy holidays. How have you been?
You too. Good.
And welcome to the stream.
And happy holidays to everyone.
Awesome. All right. Well, so it's funny. I put out the video last night, and I was like, I was really expecting this week to be very quiet. I was expecting to actually tune out of Splinterlands for a full week, and I was just gonna be okay, they're gonna come back with some some more information in the town hall, and we just have to wait 7 days for it. And then
how many quiet weeks do we have within the Splinterlands world?
The thing is, there's always loud weeks because there's always people, yammering on about something. Yeah, good or bad. I don't mean that in, it's just there's always something. But I just figured there wouldn't be any new news. I figured the airdrop stats wouldn't get revealed. Actually, I kind of expected the airdrop stats too, but I'm mentally prepared that it's not going to come out today, even though we've crossed the threshold. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to put that all for the new year. And then they go through and drop the decB idea, which actually is not new. They've been mentioning this since the layoff town hall in November, but we actually got information on how it would work, and it seems like the community went to town over how they feel about it, good or bad. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to jump into the chat here, and then I think that's probably the first thing that we should try to tackle, because I'd love to get your thoughts. We haven't chatted extensively on it yet. But now that we have some details, I think it'd be good to see where you're at. But good morning to Andrew. Hello, Luthien. So good to see you. Luthien, I'm so sorry. I know I was in Chicago, but the weather and the holidays just made it really difficult to find any time. But hopefully you enjoyed the holidays as well. So Rift Summoner, what's up? Virus, hello. Tales from the Cryptmancer. I don't think I'm going to be Papa Bear anymore. I think I mentioned on Discord that I am no longer the most bearish person in this community. So I will be changing from Papa Bear to Teddy Bear, and I'm committed to eating as many cookies as it takes to achieve that title. Happy holidays, Luthien. Good morning, all. Did they come out with DEC? See, this is what I was waiting for. I knew we were going to get this in the live stream today. DEC XYZ yet? No, we're still on DECB. Somehow we skipped DECA, so we're going to have to go backwards, or we'll have to cycle all the way through and then.
Because that A would be like acid or something. So
acid and batter. I love it. All right. So good morning, Ahmed. Good to see you here. I wish you had an awesome holiday. Sorry I wasn't active. Dude, you don't have to apologize. We missed you here too. Hopefully you had a good holiday season. It's all good. Next time you're here, we will meet up. Sounds good. All right, Dennis, what's up? Had a good Christmas? Yeah, I did. How was yours, Foye? Are you a big gift giver, gift receiver type of experience with your Christmas?
More, I guess, the giving part. I tend to not really have anything on my list. Yeah.
I do a secret Santa with all my cousins and extended family. So there's always something. I think it was December 18th already, and then I got an angry anonymous message through the Elfster thing, and it was just why haven't you updated your list yet? And I was like, oh, oops. somebody's struggling trying to shop for me. So I added these headphones on. If you guys remember the other ones that broke.
Yeah.
So
yeah. But you had a spare one.
Yeah. I love these because these are just great monitor headphones. They cost $10. They're from Behringer, and they're not paying me to say that, but I really like their products. But this one is much better in my opinion. So okay, so let's jump into the DECB thing, and I don't want to shade any of your perspective by giving my opinion yet. So I'm just gonna leave it there and let you start with your raw thoughts and raw reaction to it.
I guess where do we go? We can start with a checklist of things. I think.
Do you want me to pull up the post, or should we just do it from memory?
I think we can just do it from memory. I think I have a general direction. I think philosophically the company shouldn't make consistent promises that they can't keep in terms of pre-sales and things like that. I think it's difficult to maintain for Web3, so I don't fault them for modifying it, even though it's a few weeks after their comment there. So Having said that, I think they're not aggressive enough on the decB. I think the quantity doesn't really help them to get to peg. There's just so many floating variables. And then the other component is that the window of time and knowing human nature and things like that. What we're going to do is we'll buy them at the discounted, the decB, and then we'll just sell them on Hive, and we'll have a few iteration velocity there that transacts, and by the time it actually gets to its intended use, the vast majority of the decB will be very small. It would be negligible in terms of its intended use when we get to components like land burning, and also these things don't really matter at the end of the day. They're still not solving the stake SPS component on the player, the guilds, and the land component. I think if they have not really considered staking SPS, forcing some kind of mechanism, land is the greatest tax that humanity has ever created. So from that perspective, Splinterlands as a company and as a business model will be no different, will be no exception. They'll tax the heck out of it. They'll come up with land potions. They'll even tax every step you walk. Who knows, right? You'll have all these battles, bosses. Land is just a tremendous opportunity for a gaming company, no matter if it's Splinterlands or any company out there, for them to monetize. So I think from that, I don't think the intended use, and I also want to congratulate the group of people who actually convinced Yabamat to put this there. So it's a great arbitrage play, and I would say good for them. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. They got some reward. They'll make some 10 to 20% margins, and they'll flip it, and it's a good deal.
How are they going to earn this or earn revenue from this though, or is it
Who?
Well, you said who's making the 10 to 20% margin?
The Mav people who convinced, the group of Mavs that convinced the players.
Oh yeah, but they go through the Okay. Oh, basically earning like a 10 to 20% yield.
Yeah, it's a nice arbitrage for them.
I mean, with the DEC.
Yeah, that's a nice arbitrage. So congratulations to them. I mean, but I think it's a good deal for them, and also I think. Yabamat's not aggressive enough with this. To me, it's proposing $2 billion. It's just a drop in the bucket in the whirlpool. By the time it gets to the land piece of it, it's a non-factor.
I agree. I mean, so for me, I fully expect land to be out. What ETA is like December of next year, so full 12 months from now.
Maybe June of 2024.
Yeah, I know. You're thinking that it'll probably be delayed further.
Well, they have 2 iterations. They historically have never delivered on time, especially on land. I think they just need to have more transparent conversations, and I think So last night I actually did one with the people.
I'm excited to listen to that.
So I think they just published it. I was speaking from my experience having worked at companies like Google and Microsoft. Their project management is on a different executed at a different path.
Okay. Are you familiar with Agile at all? Does that give you?
I ran PMO for one of the largest companies in America. Okay. It's the group reported into me. So I'm very familiar with that.
Do you think that operating in that way is going to be beneficial? I mean, they kind of paraded it out on the last town hall.
That's pretty much the standard. Yeah, that's the standard for software development lifecycle. Okay. Yeah.
So in that way, I'm kind of reserving any expectations, deadlines that they've mentioned so far, that will be totally flipped on its head come Monday if they provide a new updated roadmap, because obviously that's more recent. And then with their whole like Agile thing, I'm hoping that they're having, as you said, more transparent conversations internally with one another to actually figure out when this stuff could be deliverable. Yeah. So here's the thing. When I say land is like a year away, that to me represents the first available time, just because if they're estimating that probably on the most optimistic timeline with no expectation of delays, but we always know that happens. So if we just go with the earliest possible time being a year from now, people keep saying, well, let's just wait for land, let it sort it out, and
Land affects so few players. I mean, you have 150,000 plots. You have very few people that own it.
Sure.
You have so many people own regions. You have Gang, you have Cryptomancer, you have Matt Clark. Those guys, they pretty much consume. They're the largest land baron,
exactly.
And at the end of the day, new players won't really care as much about it. And there's it's only for diamond and champion players.
Sure, and that's fair. Where I was trying to get with that though was, you kind of opened my eyes up initially to the urgency of getting DEC to peg and why it's important. So in a way, whether you agree or disagree with the Riftwatcher's proposal for DEC, whether you agree or disagree with this proposal,
everything has to be in DEC.
Like, well, I guess what I'm trying to say is waiting until December for land to come in and solve all the problems, right? To me, that's not really acceptable. I think it needs to happen well before that. So the video that I posted last night, which has already gotten a lot of feedback, was like, all right, if you don't like the Riftwatcher for DEC, if you don't like DECB, what is it that you would rather see from a tokenomics perspective, assuming that this is something that needs to be done urgent? And I don't know if you can shed any more light on the urgency behind it.
Yeah, I mean, I think, for instance, for land to effectively work, things have to be a 1-to-1 ratio, right? It has to be seamless in the background, and DEC has to be transfer and exchange 1-to-1. So DEC has to be stable. Otherwise, you have certain materials, you have wood, you have any type of material you're transacting on land. It's not equal, and the game has to. And at the end of the day, it falls on the developer to eat that differential. So every time. So imagine you multiply this on a macro velocity perspective, the number of transactions that we have that land takes place, that you're moving land, and the components that go into creating the spells, the items, the weapons, what have you in the game, and all the future components. When you have DECs not at a stable peg rate, then the developer eats it. The developer basically constantly eats it. When you have currency in a game or currency in a society like the United States currency, the United States defends its fiat currency to its military. It's the preeminent military in the world. So it defends its currency by saying, well, we said it because we can do it. We demand of it. We tell you that. It is the world's reserve currency because we are the most powerful nation on Earth. Period. And
it's backed by the U.S. military. So.
Yes, it's not backed by the world's largest economy, because the economy will change. So and the world of Web3, crypto, and Splinterlands. How do you back that? So the company has to allocate a certain number of reserve fund towards defending this peg, and they have to consume. They have to keep on buying. But one of the mechanisms is that they reserve a percentage of their financial reserve on either a weekly or monthly basis to be able to buy these on the open market, and then also the liquidity pool. The old way, like most people think of the traditional liquidity pool, is like you throw it everywhere. You throw it on Binance, you throw it on Ethereum, you throw it on wherever, any exchange that's willing to take your currency, right? Yeah. You throw DEC, you throw SPS. It's like you think of availability, but most companies don't realize that unless you're an economist and they're thinking about defending that currency, that token, or that coin, or the specific stable coin itself, then it's all over the place. Then that asset, like when you send it to, for example, when you send it to Binance, well, they can easily create synthetic. You don't know how many synthetic is on their side they're exchanging, and all these poor buyers that are buying things on Binance, as we learned from FTX and the synthetic Bitcoin process. And there's no different. It's like maybe Uniswap is a better, cleaner, because it's a decentralized mechanism, and Uniswap doesn't really want their component piece of it, so they want you out, versus like Binance wants a whole. They have special conversion of everything in Binance world, right? So you don't even know. And then on top of that, you have the risk of SPS being on Binance. It's a Binance governance token. It's issued by Binance, controlled by Binance, and you have significant risk.
SPS is not on. SPS is not. I just want to make sure we clarify. SPS is not on Binance, the exchange, but it does exist. I don't even know if it's natively on the
It,
Binance
it, it, it
BNB
has
chain,
to.
right?
It
Yeah.
has to, right? So the only mechanism saving grace that we have on the development side is that they have a mirror image of what is being transacted. So in the event that Binance screws Splinterlands and decides to not support it anymore and shuts it off, then then Splinterlands has to basically hurry up and ramp it up and put it on somewhere else.
Yeah. No, well, that makes sense. I mean, so as I see it right now, it exists on 3 chains, right? So because you have SPS on Ethereum, Hive, and Binance. So what you're saying is that if Binance should fail, as the rumors have been
It's a low
swirling for a
chance.
while,
Yeah, who knows?
but if anything were to happen to Binance, and
Yeah.
then by extension the Binance Smart Chain or BNB chain, the team would have to figure that out very quickly on
Yes.
how to get that over.
Yeah,
And
this is part of
the
their
problem is
business continuity plan.
people will be, the thing is, a lot of people will be screwed because how do they
Oh,
they
yeah.
can't snapshot that, right?
And this is the reason, one of the reasons I think SPS is free falling right now, and without the ability to quickly, the development team can quickly create a side chain type staking mechanism, but it's
Mhm.
outside. It has to be done outside of the validator node, which kind of defeats it. And I know Matt, PJ, Hardpoint, those guys, they don't want to go through where they do it 2-3 times in terms of iteration. It's
Yeah.
not efficient use of resource or
Sure.
developer piece. But at the same time, you have to look at what makes the community happy, right? What satisfies. At the end of the day, it's like people aren't real. I mean, you can say people enjoy playing the game. It's fun and everything. It comes down to money at the end of the day. If you're
Mhm.
not making money and the company is not taking a positive step forward in terms of preserving liquidity and things like that, then it's a struggle. It's a risk, and we're dealing with money at the end of the day.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree. I think I appreciated this community sentiment when it shifted over to like, this is a game, and should be a game first, and we need to get like, better features. We need all this stuff, and it's just like, yes, I want all of that, but at the end of the day, this game is not going to compete with Marvel Snap. It's not going to compete with, like, the differentiating factor for Splinterlands has nothing to do with the game itself. It has everything to do with the fact that it exists on top of a game economy, and play to earn, whether you love it or hate it, is still the main feature here. Now you can frame that in a different way, call it like asset ownership or whatever. But the idea is that like you buy stuff here that has value, right? And that you can hold and you can sell later. So even if you weren't investing, right? Even if you weren't buying cards to invest in them, you're just buying them to play with them. If you bought them a year ago when Chaos Legion first came out versus where the value of them are now, you'd be kind of disappointed that like, oh, I bought into this game to play it just because I love playing the game, and it kind of sucks that my card value and my collection value is down like 80-90%, whatever it is.
So let me pose you like a mathematical question. So let's say if you had $1 and you invest that $1 into Splinterlands, and I were to pose to you to say that, okay, the level of fun, when the fun is 0, you get $1, you get $1 back. When the fun level is 0, right, you get $1 back. When the fun factor is 100, you get $0 back, right? Out of your $1, what would you do?
Well, I think we're trying to get to the same point here, right? If you are here for the money, which I would argue 99% of people are, then you'd always take that trade where the game doesn't have to be fun if I can earn $1 from it.
Yes, but what is the optimal level? People like there are community members that will say, I'm okay getting 10 cents back on that $1.
Oh, sure. Okay. So you're trying to find where people are on the spectrum, essentially,
right?
Or on that spectrum, I can say.
Yes. So the optimal level, like what I hear from the community, what I read on Discord, and what the constant barrage of comments that people would put out there is, at the end of the day, they're okay with a certain amount, but the mavs and the whales are not okay with that amount. So an example with that is the whales may want 80 cents back on that, or they may want $2 back, right? They want a large back because they've taken a certain level of risk to put their money, their faith in the ecosystem, in the gaming mechanism, or they develop bots and bot farms, and they commit. And there's a lot of third parties. There's Jarvie at Peak Monster. There's Gene Pool. You have a lot of people who put in the resources, the time. YouTubers, a lot of energy have been put forth into it. So the expectation that we're accepting 0 cents back is not a feasible expectation. So when you look at a traditional AAA game, the fun factor is always going to be 100%. That's what they're going to focus on, the entertainment, but you're also getting 0 back. You're not getting your money.
You don't. The thing is, you don't have that expectation. That spectrum doesn't
Correct.
exist
Correct. And for any of these, like, people like and they put up these videos and they say they make fun of, but they're not really honestly taking a stab at trying to figure out how to get them more money and get a return out of an ecosystem, and figure out how, and and the YouTube community too, and the streamers, they struggle with understanding like how to onboard. They're always talking about new player experience, but it's really simple. The new player experience, they have really simple process, and at the end of the day, the earnings doesn't start until Silver 2 now. So anything below that is worthless. It's not even a worthwhile conversation for anyone in the world to even come into this game, because now you have so many. You have nifty arcades, you have you have rental, you can spend $150 to $600 to buy a Silver 2 set game, depending on where the price point is. There's so many ways that you can reach this Silver 2 and then put a bot out there. And, the people like make fun of bots and they're mad at bots and things like that. But the reality is the bot represents the NPC version of Web3. They're Web 2. Think of how many times you can interact with NPC, right? Very little. They're programmatically Web 2 to be very simple, very stoic, very linear in terms of their response. Here, they're more dynamic because they're owned by different people. They do different functions. Their owners can dynamically set, and as Splex, Archmage, Splintermage, Xbox, those guys become better at it, more efficient, and they get some revenue, and they apply intellectual capital. They get developers. They get better, AI, specific AI, in that they're going to be better at it. So you have a dynamic. You're competing with NPC, and if you don't want to have bots, you just do what Nifty Arcade said. You just add a augmented flywheel to it, and just say this is outside. This is a control piece.
Yeah, no, I mean, you brought up a lot of good points there. I agree. I mean, we took a left turn there with bots. What were we discussing before there? Because
the decB, but the bottom line is that Matt needs to give out more for it to affect the community.
Hold on. I want to go back to the whole what you said about the new player experience too, because here's the thing. And I would love for people, if people in the chat can help me figure it out, only if you disagree with me. For most of the people who came in over the past year or 18 months, we'll call it, since the boom in Axie, the game was already difficult to understand. There wasn't much out there in terms of learning materials. There weren't as many, YouTubers.
You know how hard it was to play Axie?
Well,
I played Axie.
my point being, I've never played Axie, but the point that I'm trying to get at is that, sure, I want a better new player experience. I want there to be more tutorials. I want all of that. But we all figured it out. Why? Because there was money to be made. So we put the effort in.
Axie paid you $300 a day to play. So
my point is that I'm not worried about the new player experience being a barrier. If people want to come in, and sorry, let me take that back one step. If the earnings are high, meaning you get the SPS flywheel, DEC SPS flywheel going, and SPS can actually hold its value and go up over time, people will flock to this game and they will figure it out just the way that we did last year. It was significantly more difficult last year because the bridges weren't fully there yet. You had to figure stuff out. The game was on fire. It was going down, and they were doing, my point is that the best marketing that you can do for a Web3 game is not going after Web2 people. It's going after Web3 crypto bros, crypto gals, whatever you want to call them, that are in it because there is an investment and a return to be made. And so we can get away from that as much as we want. You've actually called out Matt, I think, on here or in other places, saying that the shift to like, oh, this needs to be more similar to a Web2 game is not what they were pushing like a year ago. But right. I agree with that 100%. Like, if you want to get the masses to come in, it's going to be by increasing the rewards. And I'm not worried about people figuring it out. They're smart. And if they want it and it's worthwhile, they will come in and figure it out.
Sorry, are you familiar with Stash, Crypto Stash, his YouTube videos?
I've watched a couple, I think, that you have sent me. So
Yeah, so he's the top YouTube videos for Splinterlands. He has 90 something thousand subscribers to it, and he's not focused strictly on Splinterlands.
yeah, I watched a couple
But
of clips that you sent me, but I
yeah,
don't
so
check the channel regularly.
so
Maybe I should.
so one of the exemplary, the perfect demonstration that I think Yaba Matt needs to look at this video and need to study and analyze it and need to come to an understanding and an acceptance over the whole state of Splinterlands is the fact that he does these things where he rates these Web3 games, right? He brings on different gamers, like Bryce and all the other people, and he'll start to rate these, and he'll rate them from whatever letters, and then when it comes to Splinterlands, they'll say, "Oh yeah, I've never heard of it. I play," and then you have all these hurdles, all these things that gets the emotion that comes out of these people, the level of frustration and hatred and animosity they have towards Splinterlands, because Splinterlands is only focusing on the economy, the tokenomics, the money aspect of it, and it's something that's just totally against their humanity, their way of thinking at all. They don't view that they should be compensated so much for the gaming experience as a gamer, right? So on a scale like to get, they're okay getting like 10 cents or less back, as long as they're getting something back. They just don't want to get everything back, and they're willing to sacrifice virtually everything to have that fun experience. So these are the type of people that you're trying to appeal to, for Splinterland. So, and then I don't know if you're familiar with a gentleman. He wrote a book of 1,000 True Fans, and
Kevin Kelly.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
he talks about 1,000 True Fans, and then there's another lady, I think it's Legion or something. She even talks about simplifying it into 100 True Fans, right? So Splinterlands, really, with these bots and their NPCs, you really only need a certain number of player base, a true, real human player base, because you have bots, you have things that kind of create this flywheel mechanism that will survive. And the beauty is that there will be developers that will add to this flywheel, third parties, and as long as there's money, it's one of the things I said last night too on the people skills. It's like, not many people in the world hates money. Not too many people in the world don't want more money. There aren't too many bad things about money, even though one can say, money may be bad, evil, or rude, what have you perspective. But given a way to ecumenically receive money, it's okay. It's like it's just a degree. It's like Luthien gives her deck to Nifty Arcade. She may not make as much as it, but from a humanity perspective, it's a good feeling, right? And we don't have to. Matt thinks in terms of min max. The world doesn't think of min max. We're not always trying to maximize our return, and that's just like Wall Street thinking, right? That's just like Web 2, and that's just these businesses that are just trying to optimize their return. We're at the end of the day, we're just trying to make a living or a fair wage or get a fair return. We're not trying to max this whole thing. And what Matt is always swinging back is this min-max philosophy on these things. And he's just trying to figure out, instead of just simplifying the process and looking at first principle and saying, this is the core problem, we just have to address it. Just come to Jesus and just say, this is the problem. We're just going to make an incredibly hard decision. Leadership is about making hard decisions. And I think at the end of the day, Matt and Agro, they're facing this evolutionary change in the game mechanism for Splinterlands, and they're just going to have to make really tough decisions, and I don't know if they will or not.
Okay, so let's try to bring this back to decB, and there's a bunch of comments, guys, so we're going to get into this in just a minute, but if we can bring it back to the decB, what would you change about the proposal as it currently stands? And I'm trying to tie this into what you're saying, like the tough decisions that they need to make. So
I would either not propose it, or I would propose like a really large amount. Because at the end of the day, you're rewarding whales, right? You're not rewarding you're not rewarding the land mechanism. You're not this whole whether you call it battery bonds or what have you. you're rewarding the whales. The Splinterlands historically have always been favorable to whales or the original investors, the OGs. You see that in the tournaments, the alpha beta. You see that in how the mechanisms and they also been fair too. They reward the current like the second generation of people who have bought into and staked the SPS to the GLX mechanism. So the Splinterlands as a company business model, they've created their own flywheel too by adding TD to the game, and they have also added GLX. They've added so they've done their part, and they'll continue to do more. I think the thing that they should really focus on is taking the money that the company has and the DAO itself and creating these cards and sharing with Nifty Arcade. And just say, these are sets of cards. You can, instead of having these like Chaos Legion, the whole idea, I'm totally against burning. And I did share the reason why is that the burning mechanism of wallets eventually, the wallets, Ethereum Vitalik, he distributes it to multiple wallets on burning some of these ETH just for his own personal safety perspective, because it's like the CEO of companies when you all of a sudden have keys to the kingdom. And what's interesting about the Hive mechanism is that we can actually reset the passwords of users to keys. We can actually get access to it. So what happens is when Splinterlands' company grows so big, these burn wallets are going to have billions of dollars, and eventually they're going to have enough billions where a hacker actor will see value, and they'll just kidnap Matt. They'll just force him to give it, or they'll force whoever, the CTO, whoever has the ability to execute it, or they'll just they'll just we joke about it and things like that. But I've worked at companies where something like that has happened, and they're large companies, and they just kind of pay the media to disappear out of it and just not talk about it. But
no,
that's why burning is terrible.
I agree. I am not so again. I'm not a fan of burning, mainly because it was I think it's just a marketing gimmick most projects use.
Yeah, when the demand's not there, you burn whatever. It's still going to be poor demand.
Like it's just. I mean, you're only impacting one side of the equation. You're only impacting supply. If you're burning like something that's garbage and nobody wants it, that's not going to do anything to the price.
Yeah, so, even burning SPS for DEC, eventually the whales will say, hey, let's just produce more DEC. Let's go beyond 3 billion. Let's do 5 billion.
No, again, so, it's funny because I wanted to make a video just because everybody's just so upset right now, and I wanted to put out a video where I just ask everybody. I'm like, what is your line in the sand? What is your line in the sand? And everybody's like, oh, if they do such and such, or they did this, I'm gonna like quit this game. I want to know where everybody's line in the sand is. And for me, I was gonna offer the fact that if they ever print more than 3 billion, I'd probably reconsider my position within the game.
You won't quit the game as long as you're making money for you.
I wouldn't quit, but I definitely would de-risk. And here's the funny thing too, is like the team can kind of shift responsibility to the community now and say, well, we didn't do it. The DAO proposed it, and it looks like
they own the DAO. It's not the community that owns the DAO. We have partial equity.
We have partial equity. Well, are you not impressed that we turned down the Rift Watchers proposal and the Node proposal?
No. Because it was already known all along. It's just the whales. At the end of the day, it's just the whales.
I don't know. To me, that was the community flexing its muscle. No,
it's just the whales.
Well, sure, but and there were a lot of team members that were against it too.
Oh yeah,
who hold significant.
Like Cryptomancer. He owns a huge. Brybro owns a huge amount of SPS. They're all against it. Yeah.
So I mean, to me, I thought it was impressive, but. Actually, I still think it's impressive. All right, let's take a moment to just catch up on the chat because there's a ton. So I don't even know where we left off. Dice, what's going on? Emma's liking the new SPS Brawls update. Yeah, it's nice to earn there. What's up, Butters? Gatherings here. I think the only mistake one was made was changing the purchase of packs from DEC to SPS. I think that only happened because we were well above peg. That should not happen anymore with the new burning mechanism. Land completely changes the game and economy. What's up, Vilson? Hello, Icy Flow. Plus, okay. Awesome points, Foyet. Foyet gets a point. Good morning, Harris. Here for the llama. That's all right. For most people, it's all about the bucks. It is. All right, there's a lot of llama talk here. Clement, whoa. It's good to see you, man. I haven't talked to you in so long. I'm going to try to stream on Twitch more, I promise. I keep making that promise, and then I keep not delivering on it. Actually, stop playing for a week.
They're familiar with that.
Hmm?
They're familiar with that, so it's okay.
Yeah. Tails is saying, how will increasing the availability of decB necessarily help? Are you assuming that SPS will sell out the current allocation to decB?
No, it would not help anything. Just it's a holiday gift for the whales.
Yeah, this is
that's all it is. Just produce more for them, make them happy.
So Tails, you have to understand that the community is holding on to a bunch of DEC right now, and if you're telling them that they can get an immediate 20% return, actually 25% return on that DEC if they convert it from DEC to decB, they will most likely take that trade. I will take that trade any day of the week right now because it has immediate utility with guilds, right? And if they implement guild alliances and other stuff within Q1, I don't have to wait until land to get that. So this actually has nothing to do with dry powder. There's 6 billion DEC sitting around right now that can be converted. So even if there's no demand for DEC and it doesn't push the price up, it does burn a lot of the supply, which again doesn't solve the full problem. But when demand for DEC picks up, so we'll just say if we do have to wait until land, there will be much less that we have to eat through at that time. So you only use bots trying to fill. Okay, what? How does decB work? We're not going to get into that. We can, but Butters, there's a whole proposal. So nice shout out to my
who knows?
leader. Oh, yeah. Crypto Stash is a guild leader. Let's go.
Yeah, right, they have their own guild there.
All right, so here's
tier 3 guild, yeah.
Nice. All right, so Brandon's here saying the amount of decB in proposal is likely low because it is a test. Yaba is amenable to testing this idea even when he was initially against it. Interesting. So I didn't realize that Yaba was against the idea initially.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of mavs that convinced him, kind of kept on hammering away at him.
Okay, so this really is a gift to the whales.
Oh yeah, it's a gift. It's a Christmas. Matt should just do like 6-7 billion.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it's just a gift to the whales. Just
so this is 100% a gift.
Yeah,
to the whales.
It's a gift. Yeah, it's 100%.
It's a gift to the whales that the whales put on their Christmas list. So
correct. Yes, it's a Christmas gift, and whales have continued to enjoy from the Splinterlands economy and the community through their various holdings. Yeah. It's no biggie. I don't view it as a big deal. It's just a gift to them.
Sure. How much would you change the amount to?
Maybe 3.5 billion.
Okay, I agree. I think it needs to be over 2.2 billion at the very least. We got 2.2 billion sitting on High Vision that I'm assuming is just being traded back and forth to keep DEC well below peg.
Yeah, and I think I'm disappointed that the team hasn't put forth their own capital to buy DEC. It just means that to me when a company
but they did they put
they used Rooney. Yeah, that's revenue. It doesn't mean there's no skin in the game in that aspect of it. They can reallocate it in different ways, but that's from a company perspective, from an accounting perspective. When you put skin in the game, it's really believing. But what it tells me from an auditor's perspective, a financial statement auditor, when someone refused to do that, it's just a reflection that they don't have the confidence that DEC will hit peg anytime soon. So they have a long runway. They have until June of 2024 to potentially get DEC closer to peg. So they have a good runway, and so they may look at it and say, okay, we're not going to put skin in the game yet. We're going to wait. We're going to see what the community. We're going to see how many DEC the community will convert to PAC, so we can hold it on our company's reserve and things like that. From a financial statement auditor, I would look at it as skin in the game.
Got it. Okay. And I know in conversations with you, I think we were expecting a significantly higher amount of holiday bulk sales. Yeah. I think we were only like 500,000, maybe 600K.
Yeah, something like that.
So. Alex is here. I knew Aftersound would be all about DECB. Aftersound gets roped into every new thing. SPL Alex always gives me shit about this, but you know what, Alex? You just don't recognize a good deal when it's there. That's what it comes down to. And in fact, I have zero. So I watched Bulldog's video, and it's funny because he was very forthcoming with his biases about it, and I was like, okay, well. Some of the points you're making are good, but some of the points, even though you're calling yourself out for being like emotionally biased against it, don't hold up, right? And so when he was talking about it being a pre-sale, I really don't view it as a pre-sale because there's no additional capital that needs to come in, and you don't need to buy it.
Well, any discount is a pre-sale.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Yeah.
But my point is, I have
I'm sure
intention.
Aggie and Matt will take your position on it.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know. It's just gonna make me
yeah.
look like even more like a shill for the game. But my point is that if they implement it to be available for guilds right away, it has immediate utility. And so then even
How many
non-land
guilds will
holders-
actually do it?
I mean,
How many guilds will actually buy the decB and apply it?
so for example, like our guild requires contributions every brawl. And
Yep.
even though even if it's 100, 500,000, whatever it is for each guild, why wouldn't I spend, like for us it's like 100 DEC per guild, right? So why wouldn't, or so 100 DEC per brawl per person. So why wouldn't I go and spend 80 DEC to get
Because you're
100
just thinking
DEC?
short term. You're not thinking like the whales.
Well, no, but
Because
what
you're
I'm
looking at the guild level.
Well, but my point is that to get out of the mindset that this is a pre-sale, I'm trying to show that it has immediate utility and that there's no reason people wouldn't take advantage of it right now, even on the small minnow level. And so that's why it has
Well, I
value.
mean, 10,000 is still a large, barrier.
No. I know that the whales are taking advantage of this. What I'm trying to show is that it does have immediate utility. So
Sure,
for people
maybe 20-25%. Yeah.
the thing is, people have been burned, right? So the community feels very very strongly about the fact that they've felt burned by a bunch of pre-sales and stuff that is not getting delivered. And what I'm trying to say is that I don't know, it's probably not enough to burn through the 2 billion that we have, but I'm just trying to say that there is immediate utility right now. So buying this and hoping that we get land sometime this year and then being disappointed, sure, that's probably going to happen, right? That's probably going to happen for a large majority of whales. But on the smaller level, there is immediate utility for it. So it's not like you buy it with the hope that you can use it sometime this year and then land gets delayed to 2024. I'm saying that you can buy it and hopefully use it within the first quarter of this year, even if it's at the small level, but you aggregate all of that up and hopefully it does have some kind of impact.
It's not gonna impact, because at the end of the day, your guild is in a unique position. You're in a top 20 guild, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And so only, I think, the top maybe 20, 25 guilds at best, like I don't think my guild, we're in the top 30 or whatever, they're not going to use it. So it's very little use case. And then amongst the top 20, 25 guild, many of them already use up enough DEC to already during some of the run to already max their guild already. So
sure, but why wouldn't you take advantage and pull that demand in now?
Makes
Again,
no sense. It's easy. It makes no sense.
So, for example, our guild, our guild right now is at tier. I think we're at tier
3, and you're
3.
going
Sorry, level 6 arena, tier 3,
Yep.
right? We have
Yep.
all intentions of getting to level 9 for tier 5.
Sure. When you get to a tier 4 guild, like we're at tier 3, we struggle already, right?
Mhm.
We're, from a level of competition, why would you invest? You have a long runway.
Sure.
And our desire to get to tier 4 isn't really motivating, because at the end of the day, it's like we're not that competitive. We're not in the top 15, maybe even top 15 guilds are not that competitive, and at the end of it, you're looking at maybe top 6, right? Top 6 guilds.
Sure.
Okay. But they're already maxed out.
Sure. Okay. But again, this won't impact everyone.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying that we need to burn all 2 billion with just guilds. I'm saying that we can still burn a significant amount. So for example, my guild is going to be spending, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but at least 2 million just on our arena, right? Just to get it to tier 5 over time. To tier 5 over time.
And I hope you guys will beat the whales to buying these DECB, because it sounds like your guild will actually use it for its intended consequences, not the unintended consequences.
Sure. Okay. What I'm trying to get at here is that there's immediate use case for it. So
I get that.
You can I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, for people who feel like, oh, the team's just gonna burn me again because they, I'm gonna buy this for my land plots, and then land isn't going to come out until mid 2024, and I'm just going to be bitter about it the whole time.
No one's going to buy and hold this thing with their land.
Exactly.
Exactly. You might as well cross that option off the list.
Well, but that's how it's being marketed out, right? Like, you can buy for future things. But if we're going to get guilds, guild alliances. I'm saying that there is immediate utility right now.
You know how many times how many times you can arbitrage DEC when it hits below the 70% peg, and how many times you can flip it, and how many times you can make money on the velocity of the return prior to June of 2024.
I mean, probably a bunch. And
that's greater than the 20%, 25%, well, whatever you want to attribute to it.
Okay. I feel like we're talking about different things here.
Yeah, we are.
You can do both concurrently, is what I'm trying to get at. So as I'm saying, as a player in the game, you can still take advantage of that 20.
There's just not enough of you relative to the whales.
No, of course, of course not. But that's what I'm saying. It doesn't just need to be us. I'm just saying that it has immediate utility now. Sure.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So my point isn't that we're going to make a huge impact. My point is that anybody can take advantage of it right now, and there's zero reason for them not to.
It doesn't accomplish what the intended was to help get DEC to peg.
It's a side benefit. It probably will account for less than 5%.
Well, what's the point of doing these little side benefits? The thing when the whole objective is to get DEC to peg.
The whole.
Well, why keep pissing people off? How many times are you going to piss the community off?
Well, what I'm trying to say is the community shouldn't be pissed off, because the side benefit isn't the intention here. The side benefit is just showing
no one cares about the side benefit. Very few people care about the side benefit.
But why are people pissed about the main thing then?
Because they want DEC to be at peg.
I know. And you're saying that this won't get us there?
No. No.
Okay, because it's not going to burn.
It's not enough. Yeah, Matt needs to throw a huge number at it.
That's fine.
Yeah,
that's fine. I'm not.
It's a gift for the whales. He should just gift them.
We are on the same page. I would love for there to be 6 billion DECB, right?
He just needs to gift it to the whales and just throw it out there and just say, "Hey, enjoy it. These are the killer whale food."
I'm for that. All I'm saying is that the people who are complaining that it is A, only for whales, or B, it's a pre-sale, I'm just trying to show that the side benefit is something that they can partake in too, that has immediate utility for them. Does that make sense? We're on the same page here. We're on the same page here. And I'm not trying to convince you that the side benefit is going to move the needle. I'm just trying to say that the side benefit exists, whether or not it's 1.6 billion DEC or 6 billion DEC. The side benefit exists, and people like myself will be taking advantage of it. And whatever that scale ends up being,
it's like this after sound. It's like this. If I tell you, okay, let's meet at this pizza place in Chicago, right? And then you have an hour drive. All of a sudden, you made 8 stops prior to there. Yes, and you got there 30 minutes late. Did you achieve what you plan out to do?
No, but again, I feel like we're talking about this. I feel like we're talking.
You're just trying to justify it with these side benefits and things like that.
No,
distractions.
I'm actually not trying to justify it with the side benefit. I'm trying to say that for all the people complaining about X, Y, and Z doing damage, I'm saying that it's not, right? There's still stuff within the proposal that I think should be fixed. And I do think that the number should be significantly larger. But for everybody complaining that like, oh, this is just a gift for the whales, or this is just a whatever. No, but it's not, because you can burn it at 1 DEC. So the point is that, the some of the most common complaints we get is that this is a pre-sale, this is just for the whales, and for the most part, yes, it is. But similar to how now, like the promo bear card, salty bear card, you could buy a single BCX of this. I'm saying that it's not just for the whales, because anybody could come in and burn 0.8 DEC for 1 DECB.
I mean, everything in the game, like the promos, everything, it's mainly for the whales, right? The minnows will get small crumbs across, and this is an example of that. All I'm saying is, let's not be 30 minutes to the pizza.
That's fine. I'm still all for like making this as delicious of whale food as we can by putting it up to 6 billion. I would actually love that, and I'm not worried about it pulling in from future demand. I fully expect land at some point to eat up 15 billion at a minimum, right? So
if you say so.
Well, it's just
mathematically, yeah, but mathematics. has nothing to do with
Match has nothing to do
ag.
with this. It's the demand. You're absolutely right. But I'm just saying that this, well, the sinks are there now and people aren't taking advantage. So just because the sinks for land exist doesn't mean that people are going to take advantage.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on, because I feel like we're arguing even though we're on the same side here. So because my point is not to convince you, because I think you get it. My point is to convince everybody else. All right, Chuny, what's up, Chuny? I think dry powder is already in the voucher holder hands. I think decB is an exit strategy for big voucher
vouchers is the way to go, man. To buy more vouchers, put more. It's all on Aggie, right? Aggie came up with this voucher idea, and it's on him to fix it.
Yeah.
So I would continue to buy vouchers when it's cheap and just hold on to it and put the pressure on Aggie.
I'm just going to keep selling them every day.
You'll regret it, because it'll eventually go up large amounts.
Well, but the thing is, even when it goes up, I'll still continue to sell it. So I'll just be happy.
Yeah, but you're just not going to get it at that velocity of return. Yeah.
Butter is you buy DEC. Oh, okay. You're answering Butters. Money is evil only if you let it control you. Just buy SPS, you won't have any money to worry about. So great to see Foyet on again. Watched the previous chat with him 2 times. Would like to hear his thoughts on slowly transitioning SPS to GLX token. Thinking about moving in that direction.
Oh yeah, GLX is the. I think you need both GLX and SPS because the way the flywheel works. But I think once I figure out the gaming mechanism, I would probably sell everything in the Splinterlands, the game, except SPS, and then just move it to GLX. Yeah, because that's where the new asset class is, the new monetary. Yeah. But I just don't understand the game mechanism.
Yeah. Well, are you confident that the team can deliver a same or similar type of experience with GLX that they do with Splinterlands?
Oh yeah, it's going to be the velocity. The velocity will be so much better, cleaner. They're going to be on the new tech modernization. They've already used the new format. They don't have to worry about this DZ drama we have. Yeah. They don't have to worry about the the SBS having a free fall effect. They've already got in the economy. Matt has already gone through 4 years of pain and suffering through this whole process. He's gotten his role as a product officer. So there's a lot of good things that can come out of it. And then the tough decision they have to make as a company is to basically take money out of GLX and out of the whole Gold's Genesis and put it into Splinterlands. And that's a whole new conversation that they're going to have to figure out. Yeah. But that's on company. That's a company reserve in their financial statement, their cash flow. Yeah.
But for the individual, I mean, here's the way I look at it, right? So GLG or GLX is a chance to start over. From scratch cleanly. Yeah. So the question then becomes like, should you be aping into GLX, right?
Well, you definitely want enough of GLX, and then but you still have to hold SPS because of the way the flywheel mechanism they're going to reward.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, okay. So the point is, at the end of the day, that it's weird because Splinterlands has a solid game, despite what everybody says. It's still a solid addictive game that it has, but the tokenomics have been absolutely like shattered. Correct. Right. So
and lead doesn't want to make the hard decisions. Yeah, I get it.
Well, and then on the flip side, you have GLX, which the tokenomics at this point in time are pristine, right? Because you don't have any of that baggage. Yes. But what they need to do is prove themselves with solid gameplay. Yeah. So I don't know what's harder to do.
Oh, is it harder to clean up the
tokenomics, or is it harder to create a solid? Well, I mean,
money is always harder. When it comes, think of it like you earn your first million, right? It's the most difficult thing to do, right? But once you earn your first million, it's a lot easier for you to get it to 10 million, right? 10x it. So the goal is to like the 100x, like $1,000, right? So essentially, to get the money and the momentum there, and what GLX already has is a solid foundation already.
Yeah, got it. All right, let's see. So Brian says, I disagree. Yaba looks at the money return. I think it's Aggie. Yeah, Aggie might be more the ROI guy. Yaba's economy guy, but more the game guy.
Yaba's definitely the game guy.
So I'm sorry for stupid question and out of topic. I love this question though. Is Foyet Photoshop his background?
I had to switch it. Use a generic one.
No, but you know what's funny? The only reason I'm focusing in on this is because when I first came in, I didn't notice that it was one of those virtual backgrounds. I was just like, oh, you're in a different place today, and then he's like, oh, it's fake. So. Yes. On SPL TV, Rick on the Mountain defeated you. Then I challenged him and defeated him. So does that mean I defeated you? Yeah, sure. Why not? People's Guild in the house. You're busy today, Foyet. Guys, make sure you go check out the interview with Foyet if you have not already. And I have not, just because I think it dropped early this morning.
Yes, I think, early.
But shout out to the People's Guild, bringing us some awesome podcast content. So Flywheel has been the word of the week. Oh, if you think Flywheel is talked about now, just wait until 2023. It's going to be the word of the year next year. decB just rewards whales. What about message to the community that DC buyers just looking at the team and project? Yeah, again, Brandon, this is kind of what I was getting at. It's mostly for the whales, but it's like the crumbs fall to the minnows and plankton and whatever you want to call it. I like the high ceilings. I think you just need to move there, Foyet. Everybody really likes this house. Changing those lights would be a bit.
There's actually one place I think I can. Yeah, it's similar.
It's similar to this. All right.
Yeah.
If you do homework, you know, get it. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a rough 18-ish months, I think, but we'll get there. The company says we cannot raise capital even by offering to sell equity. I think that'll be a decision point for many OGs. Do you think that's going to be an issue for them to raise capital?
No, it's just I think what they're gonna put in terms of the enterprise value. I think that'll be the hurdle rate, is to get someone to pay their enterprise value, and there will be differences of opinion. Especially they have Dennis, they have other board members and other equity members that they'll have to vote through that whole process.
Do you? Well, I guess. So are you anticipating that they're going to have difficulty getting it?
I think getting it, every company itself, we all like strive. It's like, I always look at like maybe like, different community or culture. You have different debates on valuation. But it depends on how desperate one party is over the other, and what someone sees as a potential and things like that. Yeah.
Good morning, Frederick. How are you? Alex saying DECB is done. You're going to buy DECB at 0.8 when real. See, this is why we can't take your comments seriously, Alex, because you show a lack of fundamental understanding how it works. I would highly suggest reading the post again and then coming back here, and then we can talk about it, because this is not correct.
He's just trolling you.
I know. So I have to troll him back a little bit. You are buying DC 80%. Yeah.
Correct.
It is not a very creative name. Indeed, DECB is. I mean, but would we be happy if they called it something crazy? I agree with it. The company needs to put their own skin in the game instead of continually asking players to do it. Well, there you go. They need to put their skin in the game. D-Tough, the best player in the game right now, guys. We are blessed with his presence today. D-Tough stuff is in the house.
That's why I don't play him.
That's what I'm playing. No, I will die on this sword. The Splinterfest competition was and remains the only official competition that we can confirm was not botted. So at this point in time, D-Tough remains the best player in the game. I don't care what anybody else has to say. So D-Tough saying 6 million DC. If they deploy 3 million USD and are buying it at 0.64, they could grab 3 to 4 billion themselves.
See, that's the math we're talking about. The skin in the game.
If my math is correct. Yeah.
Yes. Yep. You're absolutely right.
Do they have 3 million available?
They have to. They're floating a lot of the monthly AWS piece.
Yeah.
I think it's a matter. Okay, so the challenge they have is that they hold it in Bitcoin and Ethereum. They don't necessarily have maybe add that particular amount in fiat US currency, right? So that's a challenge. And so when you look at it from a balance sheet perspective, it's kind of like FIFO, right? First in, first out. So you have mechanisms where someone buys fiats and buys credits into it. So you have cash, but then you have this desire, the higher need to be able to use that for other purposes. So then you kind of you're like, okay, do we want to liquidate BTC and ETH at such a low price to be able to support this? And then the answer is probably no. They're probably looking at it and say, yeah, let's just wait for the bull market. Everyone's waiting for the bull market, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But that's really not the way to look at like game building or business model. You look at like, and I kind of covered this on the People's Guild too. It's like the two preeminent business models within the United States is Google and Microsoft, and their flywheel and their network effect mechanism. They don't de-invest when the economy goes down.
Mhm.
If anything, it's like they take what Warren Buffett, and Ben Graham speaks, and they exemplify that by putting it like 100 or 1,000x the investment in the one single area that they fully believe in.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Because that's the only way you're going to get like a million X, right, out of something. And you can create a company that will go to 100 trillion in market capitalization.
But there's again, we're still waiting until the bull run for anything like that.
No, I mean, companies don't wait until the best companies in the world don't wait until the bull run. Nike's sales is at all-time high.
Well, okay, fine. You know what? But this is where the optimistic side of me comes out, right? And I know I'm supposed to be Papa Bear, but I still believe that Splinterlands can buck the trend if they can get the token.
This will be the third. This will be the third time they buck a bear market.
Yeah,
they know how to survive. There's no question about that. But do they know how to thrive? Is the essential overriding question.
So where do we get $3 million from to buy up all this DEC?
That could be from the investor, right? That could be from different sources. I don't know, or it could be just part of the monthly. That could be there's many different sources. It's just what are you willing to exchange, right? Mm-hmm. What's your tolerance? Like some people will say, do you have to give up a kidney, right? I don't know. It's everyone has different perspective on it.
Yeah. Well, that actually does make me excited for this potential capital raise then, because if that could be worked into the terms where they're going to use X amount of that to get DEC to peg, we could be there by the end of Q1, assuming they're successful in actually raising that capital.
Yeah, I mean, the decB is just a whale food to keep the killer whales money into the game, the economy, get them floating to sell them the next rebellion pack and things like that.
Fair. Okay.
Yeah.
So Tails is saying, I think you're assuming everyone's sitting on a boatload of DEC. Not everyone, but there are definitely
not
people.
Everyone.
There are people who are sitting on a boatload of DEC here.
Especially in their off wallet.
And they're off wallet. But even if we don't go to Hive or don't go off of Hive, I want you to take a look at this right
Who knows, if we make it so good, CZ may even come in and buy it. No, I'm serious. He owns a number of SPS and DEC.
Well, come on, CZ, list us on Binance. Come on. This right here is what I want to point out to you, Tails. There's 2.2 billion sitting on Hive. Now, this is not a specific wallet. This is an aggregate of everything in everybody's wallet. That's Hive, not Game, because all the Game wallets are down here. But 2.2 billion sitting on Hive. I would love to see whoever is sitting on that. I would love to see that eaten through. Show of hands, whoever has. I don't think anybody in here is going to be a whale, and if they are, they're probably not saying anything.
I mean, I had at one point a few million DEC in my wallet. That's off the Ethereum wallet.
Yeah, I mean, I have what? I think I have 200,000 sitting in my account right now. So
I mean, that it's not like my DEC is not being shown the numbers and
I mean. But here's the thing: I can hide that DC. I mean, obviously, people can still look and see who's holding it, but I can hide it from my wallet just by sending it to Hive Engine, and then it doesn't show under my Aftersound wallet. It'll show out on the under Hive Engine. So
and I'm assuming there's got to be players like me and others that have millions of DEC that's just sitting there, and they're just.
I do have.
Yeah. And you constantly buy.
I do have a good amount on the Binance on the Binance LP. So
and when it falls below 70% of peg, you constantly buy. It's just good value.
So this is an interesting thing too that we didn't get into. So Tails, I will swap my vouchers for DECB in a heartbeat. You can trade. Yes, you can. So how do you feel about the vouchers getting some kind of utility there? Because a lot of people are pointing to that and saying that is inflationary for DEC technically, and they're technically correct, right? So
that is inflationary from that perspective. I think depending on your time horizon, if you're patient, you'll get better return by putting pressure on Aggie to make the proper play, the optimal play for voucher.
Well, sure, yeah. I would love to see. I would love to see people burn a ton of vouchers with this, and then for them to come out with another promo card in like February. Everyone's like, "Oh, I should have kept my vouchers." And
Rebellion has to be bought with vouchers.
The pre-sale is going to require vouchers too. Yeah,
and minimum it would be like worth $1, and they just have to,
Yeah. Just gonna have to wait. All right, so I have over 1,000. I don't want to play the decB game as a non-whale player. It doesn't help me. Again, see, this is
that's a long game. If you're looking at the long game, holding vouchers and buying vouchers now is probably one of the best return outside of the DEC arbitrage, because that one it's a flywheel, so you can constantly arbitrage it.
Again, but the thing is, I fundamentally disagree with this. I am a non-whale player, and it has immediate utility for me. So
yeah, you're amongst a few because your guild qualifies. You're in the top 20, 25 guild. You're not at the highest. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Well, we're not going to get back into that. I'm not giving up my vouchers. Trading voucher decB might be a good move. Indeed, I'll be putting vouchers to it, but not DEC probably. All right. Oh, what's up, Virus? I think decB is a strategy to provide an exit point for large voucher holders. Did we read this already? Okay. I bet you can just pay the team to have a promo card you want made at this point. Splinterlands acting like they pour. That'd be interesting. Where are the whales in here? I would want to know how much DEC would you be willing to burn to get a promo card made of your likeness or your preferences?
I don't know. Maybe someone in my family would be willing to do it, but they put a Shiba up or something.
Put a Shiba. Shiba Inu?
Yeah.
Well, how much is 1 billion DEC currently? That's probably too much, right?
Yeah, that's probably too much. Yeah.
Times 0.00063.
Yeah, I think what's fair is
the 620,000.
Yeah. So,
never mind.
I think what's fair is you look at the equivalent of the last promo card that people have gotten from the legendary, the Chaos Legion set. You look at that and what they're spending, and you look at the top end of it. I think as an aggregate group, they did spend a good amount. Yeah.
True. Yeah. There's got to be something though to get. Hold on. Can you get 100 people or 100 groups to spend 10 million DEC on something in game?
I'm sure. Everyone needs incentives, right? Huge discount. It's just a matter of
that would burn $1 billion right there. But
yeah. It's just a matter of what people are willing to give up in an exchange.
Yeah. Vouchers will go up when the future sinks are in the game. I'm not giving them up for 7 cents. I do. I sell them every single day, and I plan on doing that, whether they're 7 cents or $7. All right, got over 10K vouchers with this proposal. The value just goes up for free. Yo, blockchain projects. You the guy from Peru? Oh, you guys are talking to each other. There's an immediate use for bloodstones and power stones as well. How many people are taking advantage of that? Oh, I remember Tails is still very upset about that. Wait, blockchain projects? Are you somebody famous that we should know? Are you the guy from Peru?
Right?
You're from Peru? That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Are you okay, well, it's good to have you here. All right, so Alex, Aggie is not poor. He never really invests his money back into the game. He just uses people's. Do you agree with that?
Most founders are like that. You just circulate and you just take and earn income in different ways. As a CEO of a company, a large shareholder, I'm sure both of them, have their options.
Thanks, KGM. Appreciate it. What up, bro? Hey, give me your email. I want to link up with you. All right, I don't think you're talking to me. What's up, people? People in Peru. That's what it is. Okay. How come you stop making videos? Oh, KGM Jam's another YouTuber. Come on, guys, don't give up now. You're gonna leave the whole creator or content creator market to me. No, actually, Tails had a good video yesterday, or I don't know when it was, but about the bot issue. I wonder if that's going to get any traction. I have 1 million DEC standing by for decB. Why? Because I don't have time to manage arbitrage now to 2024, and I won't spend it before I need it. All right. There's one of your whales.
Yep.
So issue DEC denominated bonds to drive the supply of DEC. If it works for King Fed, all right, that's all we're doing. It's just market manipulation. Thank you, Foyet. You understand 100%. Our IC flow is on the same page as you. People burn voucher most likely. My phone died. I think after some point is the idea for the whales or just benefits after times the latter, Foyet is the former. Oh wow! All right, we're that behind on chat. We're still talking about our pizza. Better have pineapples on it. All right, I'm not gonna lie, pizza or whatever. That's fine. Sadly, Foyet is right. Splinterlands is a game for and controlled by whales. I don't see a world where minnows or dolphins will be able to eat anything meaningful.
No game is no voting mechanism unless you get into like a quadratic voting system and things like that. But yeah.
Well, it makes me wonder where there is opportunity for us minnows and dolphins. I would argue that there's still tremendous
Oh yeah,
opportunity.
I think 10x, 100x your money. It doesn't matter the amount you have. I think the
Mhm.
key is to continue to do it consistently over time, and
Yeah.
then you can multiply and you can make your money that way.
Agreed.
Everyone starts somewhere,
Yeah. And that is why you're pitching that idea to Matt. Brandon, I'm going to post the proposal. I just don't see it moving the needle much. I don't see moving the needle much if they're only going to do 1.6 million DEC. I would love to see double that.
Yeah, Alex, I think has a good idea. I think buying the correct the cards that have the highest rental return, that would be something that is good. It's just a longer cycle.
The thing is, you can do that now, right? So if you were to put fresh capital into the game, some of these cards are renting out for X amount percentage, right? So
yeah, like Gold Kalia, for instance.
Yeah, I know you've been a fan of it. I've been watching the Gold Kalia, but my point is that the thing is, the issue with Splinterlands is I don't think that it is a set it and forget it forever, right? Which really no investment can have that kind of longevity.
The cards are the specific value cards are, even if you rotate them.
Well, the thing is they still get hit by meta changes overall. So the point that I'm trying to make here, right? And I don't invest in cards, so I'm not trying to advocate this or say that I have experience, but cards are at a low value right now. That doesn't mean that they can't go lower. But if you believe that, all right, at some point, that they will be out of print and they'll go up, you can buy the ones that have good rental value right now that have 20+% return. You're not going to find that anywhere else, right? Or you're going to find that in very few places where you will get that 20+% return for buying a card that's worth, however much. Like you can buy cards for $1 and still get some kind of return on them, and then scale it up. But I would say, in my opinion, that you would have to know when to exit. If the card
you gotta dump all these assets when the bull market comes around. Let someone else worry about it. Let someone else worry. That's their problem. But
the exit is the important part, right? And
correct.
I think a lot of people
anything,
learn that lesson. Yeah. Well, yeah, you're right. But I think a lot of people looked at it. I mean, I was one of the people that had to change my mind and perspective, where it's just like, oh, it's real estate. It'll always provide some kind of like ongoing value utility. But unlike
if you have it on Fifth Avenue,
exactly. But the thing is, cards are impacted by two major things. One, the market and overall market value, which determines like token value, and then the meta. And the meta is like something that doesn't, you could say that there's a weather meta for like living in a hurricane area or something, but overall,
So an example with the Gold Kalia, that card's not going to change meta for a long time because Rebellion will come out. It'll come out somewhere June, July timeframe. It'll take many months for someone to max it to a certain level, and it's just. It'll be around for many years, and by that time there's semblance of some uptick, and you can just dump it.
This is an interesting idea. If I look at the latest proposal, voucher per DC cost me 0.0039 DEC.
Yep,
that's a great arbitrage right there.
A blockchain project is absolutely correct. That's the voucher is the way. Like most people are focusing on DEC to DECB, but the voucher piece is the correct arbitrage. Is the better
interesting.
Arbitrage
So even though it's
absolutely correct,
even though it's called the DECB or the token is DECB, I feel like it's more attractive for vouchers.
Oh yeah, that's where the whales are. That's where the node validators they're benefiting from it. It's a reward. It's a Christmas New Year gift for the whales. That's all.
I guess I'll stop selling my vouchers then.
I think you'll eventually come to a realization that selling your assets in this particular class, anything you sell right now, is just a poor investment choice.
Here's the thing. Well, a lot of times it gets redeployed into something else, but
will that earn a longer term? When you look at the long run, will it earn more?
Maybe not. I'm not saying that I am not. Nobody should be here for financial advice. I'm not saying that I'm making the smart move right now. Right. So, but my point being, we didn't address this directly, so maybe this is a good point. What do you feel about the tokens being tradable rather than soulbound?
It has to be tradable. It's a whale gift.
So you're saying that whales will only partake if it is?
Oh yeah, that would be crazy for them if it's not tradable, it's not sellable on Hive Engine or the non-card markets or whatever wherever they decide to put it.
I would prefer
it
for them
has
to be
to be.
spellbound, but
Oh yeah. I mean, for you as a guild owner, and for you have intended use of to apply it to the guild, but this is a reward. This is a financial reward for whales. It's it's not intended for you after town. You're just trying to nibble on it, which is okay. It's okay.
What made me very wary is, okay, fine, if it's tradable on Hive Engine, that's one thing, but now like that the post talked about potentially bridging it out to other chains too, and I just don't see the need for that.
Oh, they have to let it. It's whale.
Why? If this is just supposed to be a one-time short thing,
it's 60 days.
There's no need for it to be bridged out to Ethereum and BNB.
Because that's where most of the DEC are. That's where,
I don't know. I disagree with that part. I mean, I know why. I hope they don't do it.
I would imagine like 95% of the community will disagree, but it's at the end of the day, it's a reward.
Yeah.
Chalk it as a reward for the whales.
Vouchers at 7 cents. USD is crazy. Wait until Rebellion comes. Everyone knows vouchers will be higher than 7 cents, but not many are loading up. I'm using part of my daily GLX airdrops. Smart. All right, so Tails, I can take it or leave it. No skin off me. I brought the idea forward because I see it as a way to help shrink the gap between oversupply and anemic demand, not a silver bullet. Yeah, I think anybody expecting this to like solve all the problems is missing the bigger picture. I think everything is just a small piece. I just throw vouchers in the LP pool. I started doing the same recently, actually. Morning all, before coffee for me. What's up, Riot 600? Lord of the Flywheels in 2023. You know what? In 2023, we're going to play a game. Every time I say Flywheel or somebody on this channel says Flywheel, you guys have to take a shot.
You're taking a shot?
No, not me. I'm just going to get everybody super drunk. So DEC coming soon. I think I'm going about the coin. Oh, yeah. All right, so... what's going to be worth more, DECB or DEC? Well, it depends on what the
crystal. The crystal will be more valuable than the battery.
There you go. Oh, see, now we're getting creative names here. We got acid, battery, crystal. Can you explain what the flywheel means? I hear it a lot, but I don't get it. Do you want to take the time for Harris?
Sure. A flywheel is just you have a central mechanism. For instance, Splinterlands, the game, and then it's just like you go on the Ferris wheel and things you spin and things get added on to it. You add wheels to it, and you attach, and it adds value. That's how you add value to the product, right? And so it's like in traditional Web 2, if you're not sure, like who is the product, chances are you're the product. You're the product for Facebook. That's why it's free, right? To use your service. And things like that. So in Splinterlands, the flywheel is the core of the game, and then you add TD, you add GLX to it. You add Nifty Arcade, Splex, Archmage, Splintermage. You add all other third-party vendors and services to it, whether they're organic or outside of the Splinterlands economy. And this is where the concept of sharing these APIs and things like that. And so one of the things that they can do is force a lot of these third parties to stake, to have a certain amount of SPS stake to get access to the API. So that would be one of the ways that they can increase the value for SPS.
I think you covered it quite well. I've never actually heard the Ferris wheel term used, but I guess that's where you gotta go to the basics of flywheel. So yeah, Harris, hopefully that makes sense for you. I mean, ultimately they've taken all utility away from SPS and giving it to DEC, and so we just need to burn a ton of DEC so that we start burning a ton of SPS.
Yeah, I just don't know how Nifty Arcade or how Jarvis feels if all of a sudden the team says, "Hey, you have to have 10 million SPS staked
to play
for you to access our API."
Oh, God, that'd be great though.
Yeah, it's the optimal play for so Splinterlands. They need to have things that come in on a consistency. They need to stop taking it from the non-whale players, right? Forcing
Yeah.
the non-whales to constantly spend for the upkeep of the game. They need to come up with monthly recurring revenue. They need to come up with things that are more softer from a revenue management standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because everybody's upset about these like high level private bots, and it's just like not that I'm saying that I would or wouldn't want them. This would change my opinion on them, but I'd also feel better if that they were required to hold and stake 10 million
Sure.
SPS
Well,
in order to access the API.
bots are just like any player, whether they're bot farms or NPC or what have you. I think this is where the company needs to look at it and say, what's the developed resource cost for us to force a sidechain staking of SPS?
Yeah.
So, for instance, you can start the SPS staking on the player base, right? So now bots have to have a certain number of SPS, so they automatically have to buy, or they've been earning and maybe they kept them or they sold them. I don't know. They're part of this free fall process mechanism. But at the end of the day, bots, if you're for every account, and so you get to the point where you want to force everyone to say Silver 2 is the minimum level account you have, and it gets into a different conversation, especially for a new player. You no longer worry about the novice in the bronze league, and you get rid of it because it's pointless.
Yeah, I mean, if I can be honest about the whole player staking, I know several content creators have covered it in great detail, saying that it's going to do X, Y, and Z and be a silver bullet. I actually fundamentally disagree, and I'd love to be proven wrong because it's not scalable to me, right? Like we have X amount of 100,000 something players now. Like if you're going to require X amount of SPS, and XPS is a capped token, at least at this point in time, it is not scalable. How do you expect to get?
That's the beauty of it. That's the reason why, because it's not scalable. So what happens is you have more demand than you have supply of SPS.
Sure, but
that's where you want. That's where every economy in the world desires. That's the optimal level. They think of it like if everyone can afford an iPhone 14, right?
Mm-hmm.
They would never be priced that way.
Okay. Well, so this is actually getting back into the earlier conversation we had with the 1,000 true fans, right? So then the argument then becomes, well, this game doesn't need millions of players.
They don't.
We just need millions of players fighting for 500,000 spots.
Correct. Correct.
Interesting. Okay, fine.
That's the whole beauty of why you want to make SPS at a fixed cost.
It'll never
like
have
Bitcoin.
It'll never have the ability to go mainstream, and I think it's much.
Then you don't believe in Bitcoin either.
No, I do believe in Bitcoin.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same principle.
The thing is, Bitcoin isn't a game, though, right? That requires.
It is. It's a game. Money is a game.
No. But here's the thing. Like here's the thing. In order to participate in the game of Bitcoin, it doesn't matter how much Bitcoin you have. But in order to participate in the game of Splinterlands, no, it doesn't. In order to participate in the game of Splinterlands, you will need to have X amount of SPS, and there's only 3 billion.
That's if you want to earn. That is if you want to earn. If you don't want to earn.
Again, nobody's coming in if they're not earning.
Correct. And that's where you have the choice. So like where Nifty Arcade and all the people is, they now can put more pressure because they can take a higher percentage out of whether that's a correct ecumenical humanity decision or not. They can take a higher percentage, and then these other individuals that are being sponsored, they can make that choice, but they're getting higher value from the SPS through staking more.
Okay. Interesting. All right,
that's where the game needs to be.
I'm gonna sit with that for a little bit.
Yeah.
I think Nifty Arcade and Scholar System needs to be a push for 2023. I would love it. I really like what they're doing, and I hope that they can.
I don't think Aggie, Matt, and the Splinterlands company and the DAO is doing enough towards a relationship, a partnership with Nifty Arcade. They really need to go all out. They really need to buy. The DAO needs to pretty much be emptied and buy these packs.
That's what I said. The thing is, I think Nifty Arcade, again, I'm not talking about them from like a business model or standpoint, but I'm saying that what they're doing is highly undervalued by the community, by the team. I think they are providing a service. They are drawing the line in the sand on bots, and they're trying to create a new player experience. Everybody keeps talking about this new player experience. That is it. Come in and play for free. Come in and play for free. So again, I think
yes. And what you'll run into when Matt Aggie and the DAO purchase these Chaos Legion packs and things like that, what you'll see is the price will go up tremendously, the demand, because there's not enough. When you look at, there's just not enough Pelacor Bandits, Pelacor Conjurers out there to make a set, right?
But there's gonna be a new one. There's gonna be a new one with this.
Yes, there will be, but it's not going to be one that's maybe as strong or unique. So it lends its value. This is where
it'll be like that shark.
Yes, it could, right? So you'll have these experiences where players will now have to gain skills, and they'll have to understand the rule set. They have to understand the fundamentals of the game to be able to move up. So Nifty Arcade can create a hierarchy of talent and skill base where you perform better with these crappy sets, and then now we delegate you better ones, things like that, because you can make more money.
Yeah. Sorry,
and not only that, if they let you use it for tournaments, and they actually pay for your tournaments too, they sponsor your tournaments, and on top of that, the Nifty Arcade has a guild specifically designed for all of these sets that you go in automatically and you participate, and so you earn on all fronts. And and on top of that, you can either at certain downtimes you can use it for land for different purposes, and there will be other elements to the game, whether you're adding battle pass, you're adding other. So there are certain economic value chain perspective that can be aggregated in a either linear or non-linear or dynamic piece that the game progresses as it matures. Nifty Arcade can actually help someone from either a banked or a lower economy country. They can actually make a substantial living.
I agree. I had a call with them recently just to try and figure out, I don't know what we could do or how I could help. So I really want to figure out a way to get more utility to their platform, just because I think it could offer a lot.
They can actually go. They can actually go for funding. They can actually do what even Merit Circle or any of the other guys start out. They can actually just go through an accredited or angel type of investor community, and they can just get funding for. This is how YGG started too. Yeah, it's no different. It's just how aggressive they want to be, and I've never talked to them, so I don't know what their appetite is or what their solution is to build and their long-term plan. But this is something that's heavily needed, a large desire in the community. They can actually build out either an entire DAO out of this whole process to help, and there will be people that are willing to invest in this, and presumably, a product like Nifty Arcade could actually consume the entire set for Chaos or Riftwatcher and for Rebellion alone, just a number.
Yeah, again, I mean, I hope that they can get that kind of interest on the platform. I think
the interest is there.
I was supportive.
The demand is there.
I mean, they have the demand on the platform. They need the supply, and I'm hoping that they can be provided that in a way that makes sense. Again, this is another thing. The DAO money is just sitting there doing nothing. So it's not adding value to the game at all.
You know what Axie Infinity continues to prove people wrong on, and they continue to demonstrate to the world, is there are so many unbanked and so many lower economy country in the world that people are willing to play. I mean, look at one of the games that I played, the League of Kingdoms, right? You have land stacking, you buy land. All these people from Philippines and Malaysia, Indonesia, they're all playing this game for whatever, a couple dollars a day, and they're earning more.
I need to play this game now. Land stacking? Well, no, I'm not because I need a couple dollars a day.
Well,
I'm trying to learn more games.
Yeah. So what I look at from a game perspective is I look at the uniqueness of the game. What can the game provide? Absolute advantage perspective. Splinterlands has a flywheel, right? Splinterland is the only game outside of like a parent company like Gala or Immutable or any of the other ones that hold a flywheel perspective. So Splinterlands is actually doing it backwards. They're organically starting with a game concept and building versus the umbrella parent company forcing the flywheel mechanism down. But I look at unique games. So like League of Kingdoms, it's a crappy game. It crashes. It's terrible. But people will still continue to play because at the end of the day, you buy land, and every time a new civilization is added, a new continent is added to the game. Someone that farms your land, your land kind of grows organically over time, even though you do minimal work on there. And it's so I look at that, and even the games like Axie, there's still a value to it. People still earn money, even though SLP and AXS they're in the dumpsters, right? It's just, and the founders have to make a critical hard business decision either, as well as Splinterlands, and I think they struggle in that perspective. And but when you look at even a monopoly type game like Upland, you can actually make money off of it if you focus on the single area that can deliver the economic value chain, which is basically you go into the new cities that are being minted around the world, and you buy and then you convert it to the fiat through the PayPal mechanism. So every game has a way out that you can in an on and off ramp.
On and off ramp, yeah. Well, that's gonna be fun. All right, we're officially like 30 minutes behind on chat, so I'm gonna skip through a bunch here. Stop playing for 2 reasons. Bots was killing me. That's not uncommon. Oh, Weirdbeard's here, or was here. Fundraising is always difficult. The bigger issue is convincing people to come in and see the longer vision. Health of the game is important. I agree. So let's see. Regardless of whether or not it's against crypto ethos, holding company reserves in crypto coins is insane. Market issues shouldn't direct. Yeah, I won't disagree there. My favorite Weirdbeard is here. Try to be everywhere. Everything everywhere all at once. I need to finish that movie. Max is here. What's going on, Max? I feel like the team wants to do decB, then they can. Why do they need our uneducated opinions? Well, this is, Goldmanners and I were laughing yesterday if like governance ends up killing the game because people can't like see the larger, the broader vision and just keep voting down proposals that need to be.
It's only going to be controlled by a handful of people anyway.
Yeah,
so,
hopefully.
Yeah.
I think we'll end up selling more than 2 billion to ECB first because first will be fast. Yeah, I think it's going to go fast too. So.
Oh yeah, I think they need to put up like 6 billion or something crazy number.
I would love that.
So
though we are evolving long-standing industry, should Ford mandated transport be the horse buggy cart? We're evolving. Yeah. I agree with that. You weren't talking to me though. So I do have about 300,000 in accounts and another 200 in pools. I think you're talking about DEC.
Yeah.
376 DEC. All right. Let's skip through a bunch here because a lot of you guys are just talking to each other. Foyet, you keep saying DCB is for whales primarily. What would you consider a whale in SPL? That's a good question.
I think anyone with a few million DEC, from a DEC perspective.
That's it?
Yeah, that would be like a minimum to kind of move the market. Yeah, because when you look at DEC, like how is price determined? When we look at the when we go into our in-game, when we click on the DEC screen, what determines that price? Where does that come from?
I mean, just market volume, right?
Yeah, but where?
I don't know. You tell me.
So, at the end of the day, is it driven by CoinGecko?
Oh, CoinGecko. These are all separate markets. CoinGecko is just the aggregate of both, right?
Yes, but where is the single pinpoint where it's driven? And
CoinGecko doesn't even count Hive Engine.
Correct. But
so Hive Engine.
What is the single? Hive Engine is not determining that. We know that for sure.
No, I know.
Hive Engine, yeah.
Hive Engine
we know Binance doesn't determine the price.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, that's why Matt scatters these liquidity pool, right? It's so that CoinGecko can aggregate it.
That's why he has it on there?
I believe so. I could be wrong. I don't know. I never looked at it, but one of the curiosity point is I don't know where the official demarcation point is, the origin.
From my understanding, every time I check something like let's see here, I'm on CoinMarketCap right now, and actually it's not even loading. But there's usually way more. Not even way. There's usually more volume happening on Hive Engine than on either. But yes. on either Ethereum or BNB.
But you'll notice what's on Hive Engine is not the reflection of the in-game price.
Well, I mean, it's a market that's interacting on its own island essentially. And so
Yes.
sometimes sometimes there's actually arbitrage opportunities that I'm not fast enough to take advantage of, but I'm
Yeah,
sure
you need a
bots
little
are.
computer. Yeah.
Yeah. So what if whales burn vouchers for DECB instead of DEC? Wouldn't that work way against DEC? Yeah. Yeah, it would.
Yeah.
It would help vouchers, but
I think a lot of people, would consider the voucher play.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed to removing vouchers or keeping them. It doesn't really matter to me. People misunderstand player staking in the white paper has nothing to do with staking SPS to earn. We
Correct.
would need a proposal to add that in. So what am I misunderstanding here with the staking? Because that's how it's being sold.
Yeah,
they
don't
need a fundamental misunderstanding.
Yeah, I don't think they need to vote on that, and I think Matt had mentioned that a couple times. Because it's already built into the white paper.
Mm-hmm.
But I think to modify that, I believe that's their intended plan, is to put up a proposal to potentially modify that.
Well, Steve is saying that it has nothing to do with staking SPS to earn. What are they requiring SPS to play then?
Well, there's going to be like a certain minimum amount, but to maximize to basically to get maximum return, you have to have a certain amount of SPS per, depending on the tier league and the amount you have. Like I think for Gold League, it's like 100,000 SPS or something like that.
Okay. Oh, here, hold on. They say the staking white paper is a SPS pool that you earn from for staking on a player, and you earn APR if player wins more. Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
See, I have that understanding too. So why is everybody saying that this is going to be like the fix it all silver bullet? I don't.
It's a large portion because you're basically allocating. And so right now, when you look at the number of SPS staked, it's only around less than 50% of the total. Available.
So then this isn't the barrier that people are expecting it to be. You don't need to buy SPS in order to earn.
Correct. You just need enough stake. But the thing is, people who are at the top in the number of place and the bots, typically there are a certain number of large whales that have bot farms. But outside of those, there's a second tier of bot farm. I don't think they have enough SPS to cover it.
Actually, to Steve's point, I did understand this back whenever I read the white paper. So you don't like the pool that they're pulling from is what's currently the SPS staking pool right now. That is what's going to pay it out. So,
yes.
So I don't know where this whole narrative about like you being required to earn comes from.
Well, each player needs a certain amount to stake on them once player staking is enabled.
Well, see, but Steve is saying something different. You don't necessarily need that. I need to go back and read the white paper because Steve was reminding me of this now. Which
to earn less than the optimal, you don't need the maximum SPS staked on you. But no one would desire to play a game without trying to maximize their earnings over time.
Of course, but that doesn't mean that you can't.
Correct.
Earn.
But bot owners will not appreciate that because
Fine. Okay.
Yeah.
So
and that's where it hurts the bot farms. Yeah.
Stock Jockey's here. What's up, Stock Jockey? Empty the DAO. Foyet could be after Sound's dad. I don't know if that's accurate or racist or both. Either that or After Sound is talking to himself from the future. That's a good one too. After Sound is Foyet B. You can get a 20% discount. It's because we're both Asian. I see how it is. We'll just laugh nervously along. Haha, that was funny. All right, Upland. I'm still in Upland. I never got into it. What does Foyet think of your idea to release one card per month that can only be bought with DEC? Well, I don't think that it's just DECB. I think that it should be purchasable with DEC or DECB actually. But I don't know. Would you like to see more promo cards, like monthly promo cards?
I don't know if that would be too many.
I'm good with monthly or quarterly might be okay. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
But I think they do need to offer things for the community and things like maybe anniversary, like New Year's or things like that. I think Splinterlands is actually the only game that for me I play that they don't offer some kind of event or deal, things like that. So this promo card with Archimus was the first of its kind for Splinterlands that I can remember.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I do wish that they would do more for seasonal or special events. I don't know if it's necessarily tied to a monthly, but they can just create some kind of seasonal.
I would love some kind of seasonal. If Salty Bear sets a precedent for like a seasonal promo card, I'm all for that. It's just next year, I would hope it's not tied to pack sales. I would hope that they don't have to do that to move packs, and they could just.
I'm sure they will. That's the expectation they're setting. I think very few whales would want to move. And, if you have a lot of money, you're just gonna sit on your hands and wait for the better offer.
For the better offer. All right, give me 1 second here. I'm just trying to see something. All right, I guess I won't be able to get it now. Never mind. I was on Snapchat trying to find that filter that makes me look old, so we can see just how much old me looks like you.
I see.
But I don't think it's active on Snapchat anymore. All right, so let's see. Yaba has explained before the API behind token price is referenced in game. It is an aggregate of multiple markets and includes a time variable, possibly an hour of price data.
Yeah, I think it's from CoinGecko that it pulls it directly from that.
Okay. That's why they're different, usually.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because Hive is actually the one that's in game, and you're pulling data. The game is making decisions based off stuff that is on a different chain.
Yeah.
That seems so backwards to me.
Yeah, and that's why Uniswap is the cheapest place to buy DEC.
Mm-hmm. There's like no volume on Uniswap.
Yeah.
Compared to Binance and compared to Hive.
Yeah. And that's where a lot of people hide their DZ, through the master accounts, stuff like that.
Yeah. I have never seen a post on needing to stake SPS to earn in a league. It has been tossed out in town halls as an idea.
Well, it's in the white paper. Yeah,
I need to go back and read the white paper now.
I'm pretty certain that when you click on the white paper portion, it's
Bulldog had that video. Like Bulldog had that video a week ago or a couple days ago or something talking about this, and he's very convinced that it's going to be like the silver bullet that gives SPS some utility. And I'm not saying that it's not. I think it's what he's trying to push is different though. He's saying that to earn, like for example, my understanding was like in order to earn within the game, maybe you have to have a minimum like 1,000 SPS, right? And that's why my argument earlier was, all right, well, if 1,000 SPS are required to earn anything in game, the maximum amount that you can have is 3 million players playing the game and earning, right? And obviously less than that because we burned a significant amount of SPS.
Yeah. There isn't a minimum you have to stake to earn, but there's a maximum you can stake to earn to get the maximum return.
So it's like having like under-leveled cards.
Yeah. Yep, that is correct. Yep. It's on the table if we pull up the SPS white paper chart.
All right. Well, I don't want to.
It's a table on there. Yeah.
I already sound uninformed, so I'm gonna go back and read the white paper. Then I'm gonna watch Bulldog's video again.
Yeah. That's what Bulldogs is referring to.
Yeah. Okay. So, but never put it into a post or proposal. Some people just heard Aggie say.
No, it's in the white paper.
All right. Should we pull up the white paper?
I don't know. It's up to you.
Nah, I don't feel like doing that right now. Alex, the Cleveland release was my least favorite. Oh, I think they're talking about
the property for
Upland.
Upland. Yep.
Wait,
yeah,
Upland? They literally recreated Cleveland out of all the places in the world.
Yeah, it's because Cleveland, it's a central. Ohio is a central place within the United States. Yeah.
Who wants to own property in Cleveland?
Yeah, it's sure, real world property ownership.
I'm sure there is definitely some opportunity.
And they have your favorite, which is the NFLPA products. They have a partnership with them.
Is that? Oh, okay. Upland.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we've caught up with all the chat, so that's awesome. I'm curious. Let's step away from Splinterlands for a second. What other games are you looking at right now? What other games have just piqued your interest in terms of whether they're fun, whether they offer a great return, they have a good team? Like, is there other stuff out there that you're taking a look at?
I think outside of like Pokemon Go or some of the Pokemon stuff, I try to stay away from playing games for fun.
Well, no, okay, yeah. So I'm talking about
Yeah.
Web3
Yeah, so
or
for
play to
Web
earn.
three, play to earn. I think the ones I'm really just looking at is like Splinterlands, Axie Infinity,
What was the
League of
king?
Kingdoms.
Oh, League of Kingdoms. Okay.
Yeah, and Upland. You kind of switch it to the PayPal piece of it. You can kind of you can monetize it and make. And I think if you were part of the earlier group, you can make more money. It's a lot of games are built that way. The mechanics, they reward the earlier adapters and things like that. Yeah, but I don't look at so the other games. I don't like games that are non-auto battler per se in terms of cards, like Gods Unchained. You earn so little that, and there's so many mechanisms, that hurdles you have to buy flux, the gods token. There's so many hurdle rate that you can get a couple dollars per day, but the thing is, you spend their time isn't the same versus
the time required.
yeah, I can just buy a really solid card on Splinterlands and put it out in the rental market and get a better return.
You can't scale it.
Yeah, it's not scalable. So I stay away from those games. But I like Immutable as a company, even though, I think they kind of screwed the original investor on the original games that they try to make it whole with them. But so you have games, Gala, and you'll have a lot of different games that are just good for a short period of time, but that I'm not in it for a short term. So I don't really care about games that I like games that have unique proposition, that are that has preferably an absolute advantage over the competitors. No one else is doing it. Second, I'll accept a game if it has a strong comparative advantage in the economy perspective. So I think Splinterlands is just missing the focus. They're kind of constantly being distracted. That's what I think. They just need to focus on what it is that they deliver absolute advantage. They're never going to be a AAA gaming company.
Agreed.
They're never going to have the resources that these large companies, or they'll go in debt like Illuvium, right? They'll just go in debt and they'll just constantly ask for more money from other companies, other gaming studios and partnerships, or angel or so. You can take different structures, but at the end of the day, with a card game, you can just make it so to the point where you can still be profitable. And I think Splinterlands just needs to focus on its flywheel. And I think everyone needs to pay into the ecosystem. They need to figure out a taxing mechanism. So like the third parties, they may not like it, but they'll have to stake. There's currently, I think, 50+% of SPS that are unstaked. So they need to force all these people to stake their SPS. So what happens when you stake? And also, I think the 4-week period, the month-long period of staking SPS is too short. I think they need to look at 6 to 8 weeks to hold people accountable for that, and to kind of preserve it. So just from an economy perspective, because what they're allowing people to do is flip these things where it's a large quantity, where they're unstaking it and then just contributing to the free fall mechanism. They just need to stop a lot of these things. And you can either fix SPS or you can fix DEC. You can fix both. When you get SPS on a positive trajectory, people will dump their DEC and they'll buy SPS, and that'll go to whatever, and it could go to the company, it could go to the DAO, other players. But you have a positive velocity transaction, and that's what you're looking for.
You bring up a good point there, because this is built on Hive first and foremost, and Hive has that 13-week unstaking period. I'm actually curious why they didn't follow that model.
They just thought it was too long. I think Aggie may have answered the second town hall.
He did. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Interesting.
No,
would you let me ask you this: would you prefer 4 or 13?
Oh, I would take 13.
You take 13.
Yeah, I would take 13 hands down. I think the whole thing with the economy is you want skin in the game. You want commitment. You don't want the original investors who gave them money for their seed round funding. Yeah, they reserve the right, and they negotiate aggressively. They're always going to be like vultures, and they're always going to be aggressive. They don't have any faith or belief. They just think that they're just going to 10x their money. And there's nothing wrong with that. But believe me, I live and hang around with people. That's all they do. They just dump on people all the time.
Well, what do you think whale sentiment would be if there was a governance proposal to switch SPS to longer
They wouldn't vote
unstaking
for
time? They
they
wouldn't
wouldn't
vote
vote for it. Nah, Matt and Aggie and everyone on the Splinterlands team has to look at it and say, let people like Cryptomancer, and they'll have to look at it and say, okay, I don't like it. It's not representative of will move, but it'll help the game survive. And
Well,
at this point, it's just survivability of the game.
True. Well, the thing is, they can't unilaterally make that decision since it concerns
Correct.
SPS. They'll have to put it to the DAO, right?
Yep.
Or the proposal.
Correct. Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah. There's when you look at the great Harvard business cases of the crypto generation, the Web3 generation, I think Splinterlands will probably be at one of the top tiers that they'll look at from a Harvard Business School perspective.
I mean, I think Splinterlands can and will still be incredibly successful. It's just I think people have too, like, we'll call it delusions of grandeur, right? Like thinking that, like, Splinterlands is gonna be able to be the next Steam or the next, like, AAA or whatever. Like,
I think they're looking at it all wrong, right? Splinterlands as a company, they're looking at it to be the next AAA, the next Steam, the next gaming company. Splinterlands is not a gaming company. It's like when you look at Tesla is not a car company, right? Tesla is a manufacturer. Elon Musk, his goal is to strive and build the preeminent manufacturing company of the most difficult hardware, metal, of the most difficult things to manufacture in the world, right? Because that's the only way that he can have a monopoly over it. Like, when you look at the way Tesla is built, his manufacturing facility is structuring, right? When you look at when you look at a lot of these, there's no, like, core single gaming company that can be ultimate uber successful. When you look at Tencent, right? Tencent takes the money that they earn, they take their cash flow, their net the EBITDA piece, and they invested in solid mechanisms that help them grow and help them attach to that flywheel mechanism, right? And when you look at Alibaba, they're the same thing. You look at all of these. When you look at, like, a company like Google and Microsoft, they embody what this whole flywheel mechanism is. They have so many Microsoft Office is ubiquitous, right? There's no way, like, Google Docs or anything can take over what Microsoft has done, right? Because you cannot operate an operating system cleanly without using Microsoft Office, right? It's just business. Yes, you can get small businesses to use Google Docs to share it, and businesses will do that. And you have plenty of competitors to Google, to the Microsoft Office system, but it's just not something that you can take away. It's a tethered product. It comes tethered, and so Splinterlands needs to look at that process where Splinterlands is providing this core mechanism that they have, and they need to stack the revenue, the recurring revenue, on top of this mechanism, and they need to build partnerships. Like, this is why I think Nifty Arcade is such a phenomenal partnership. It speaks volumes to so many different levels, right? And so it covers so many variables, and I think I know, Weirdbeard says, investors hard to find and things like that. What I always look at when it comes to money will always find where money is needed most. So when you have a opportunity that needs money and can demonstrate that on many levels, you'll always have people that will. There's so much money out there in the world. Someone will give you money. So I think Splinterlands needs to focus on this and not really focus and think about being a gaming company, because at the end of the day, they can actually, like, and we joke about it and things like that, and land and things like that. But at the end of the day, look at, we can be Splinterlands can eventually, with their Genesis League, can evolve to a gambling company entity where you can have fantasy sports, right? You can cover a lot of these you can have real player, you can compete on the Vegas board on some of these fantasy, whether they want to go into that path or not, I don't know, but it's optional, right? You can have a lot of mechanisms, like so for instance, tower defense can have a gambling mechanism in the aspects. People can bet, gamble, and stake against each other, right? And bet against each other, and you can play against each other. So there's going to be this fun, dynamic, stressful, competitive nature to tower defense. So on the initial front, tower defense doesn't pay you much, but when you actually take money from another player, you can actually make a ton of money. and you can actually make a full-time job out of it.
Mhm.
If you're good enough, right? And
Yeah.
then otherwise, you just buy cards and you contribute to these people who are playing. They're good enough. And when you look at even like real world, what you're doing on the YouTube streaming, you can actually create a after sound LAN, and you can actually build an entire studio on your LAN, a virtual LAN. People can come and visit and sit at your, have coffee, and you can build all these things, right? And you can charge for that experience. So you can monetize the whole piece of it, and it has nothing to do with the game. It's just people wanting to hang out with you, right? So Splinterlands needs to think about not being a game itself. No company in the world will arrive at becoming this large, profitable. There will be a company that's going to surpass $100 trillion. It's just a matter. And they're mostly leveraging blockchain technology, some kind of DAO mechanism, sub-DAO. So it's some kind of way where you take the aggregate of the global GDP and you find a way to monetize that, to distribute it in a meaningful way, right? To look at that and say, it's all about the recurring, it's all about a network effect, it's all about Flywheel, it's all about recurring revenue piece. Currently Splinterlands doesn't have a recurring revenue side. They just have their sets that's not recurring. They don't issue it at exact time period. It's not a reliable source of revenue for them, and that's why they struggle. And then what do you do with your EBITDA, right? What do you do with your reserve? And that's the core, I think, question that they have to really solve. And if they solve all this, it doesn't matter whether SPS is whatever, the demand for SPS will be high no matter what, because everyone wants to earn at the optimal level. You'll stake it. Every vendor, every party will be forced to stake whatever, 1 million, 10 million, depending on what they want. If they want access to higher grade API for their battle rank, battle data set, or they want the non-market data, depending on you pick and choose your data as a vendor. And then from there, you stake the SPS. So you buy into it, right? You buy into SPS. You don't have 1 million SPS, so you buy into it. It forces the demand, and when you increase the number of weeks that SPS is staked to, let's say, beyond the current 4-week cycle, the availability of unstaked SPS, it becomes a scarcity issue, and then you're no longer thinking of SPS being valued at $1 per instance, because that's not the intrinsic value. Yes, the real true value of what you pay for SPS is worth pennies. It's junk, right? But because the demand is so high that it doesn't matter what this junk value is, because you need it, right? It's like people talk about why gold is still valuable, right? Why Bitcoin can't displace gold immediately, or why the government of the world, including the United States, has to set a fixed price for silver, because they need that ability to be able to. It's a commodity that you need in your microprocessors, you need it in certain car components, you need it to run the world, right? So it's not about the commodity piece, the what gold brings in terms of being on a jewelry set or it's about a necessity of humanity to need it to move further. So if Bitcoin can find that common element and can kind of articulate that beyond the 9-page Satoshi white paper, then they can actually achieve that fundamental value. So Splinterlands as a company needs to think beyond the game. It's not a game. I know we come here, we talk about it, it's a game, but for me, I don't look at Splinterlands as a game. There's a huge opportunity within the blockchain Web3 ecosystem. It's a way they can contribute to that. It's just stacking on their flywheel. There's just so many elements they can do. Anyway, but anyways, yeah.
No, that was great. I think that you brought up a lot of good points. I've said this in the past where, to me, the real utility that SPS could have that is kind of unseen right now is like the whole Splinterlands as a service, right? So they mentioned this a while back, where it's just like, if they offer like the resource credits type of thing that they do for Splinterlands, they've expressed that other companies that want to come in and build a game on Hive, for example, don't want to put in the infrastructure. So Splinterlands can sell that as a service. And when they do so, they'll require them to buy and stake X amount of SPS. And so that's like, I don't know when that stuff will be coming. I would assume in a bear market, you're going to have companies that are less inclined to invest heavily, but maybe in the next bull run, it could get interesting. And so to your point about there being this intrinsic value to SPS, even though it's like worth pennies, this is why the flywheel. There we go. Somebody take a shot. This is why the flywheel is so important, even just from the DEC perspective. Because if you burn all of that 6 billion DEC, people will still need DEC to transact within game. And so at that point, as you said, it doesn't matter what the price of SPS is. You're going to buy it at whatever price because you're immediately burning $1 worth of it to get that DEC.
And it may not even be available that day you want it because of the forced staking mechanism.
Yeah.
3 billion is not a lot, and especially we're burning, so it's going to be under 3 billion. It's not a lot.
Yeah. Well, like
especially,
I said, I fully expect land to be, once it's implemented and people start working towards it, it could eat up as little as 15 billion minimum, right?
Don't worry about land. It's not important.
I'm just saying, from that alone, there is not enough DEC within the ecosystem right now to contribute towards that, as well as all the other things that they're trying to do. So my point is just that if we can burn through all of that DEC, actually, let me be more optimistic. Once we do burn through all that DEC, because I think it will happen, it's just a matter of timing. The team is trying to speed it up right now, but over time, as long as all the sinks are shut off or all the faucets are shut off, a leaderboard is what, 15 million a month. That's not
so. Yeah, I think like when we look at LAN, I don't look at LAN the same way the company looks at LAN. I look at LAN as a social interaction, right? Many of our players, we look at LAN as a means to play the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
A means to battle and do things and provide services, provide spells, and whatever, lumber, wood, stones. It's like an economy that. So when we look at it, LAN from that standpoint, to me, it's just not really a motivating factor because it's only going to benefit Diamond and Champion League. But when you look at LAN from a social perspective of an interaction, like being able to walk your avatar and being able to walk, like, okay, summoners, right? Your summoners can have tremendous value. They think of like from an augmented reality perspective, a piece. You can have this is where Microsoft is leading the effort, right? And they're quietly leading the effort on augmented reality. And so you can take your avatar and your glass, and you look at the map of the Praetorian map, right? And
Mm-hmm.
if you can overlay a combination of VR, AR, and with the realistic human piece of it and the reality, and you can have that interaction where you have it's a conversation. It's a social piece. I'm visiting. It's like it's like walking keys. He has maybe land right next to Gank, and he walks over with his avatar, right? But to be able to walk through there with your augmented reality. To be able to have that experience where you're sitting on a glass and you're walking that human experience in a virtual way, and you're having that whole experience, and along the way, you'll meet other people, other land villages, other economies, and you can buy things from them. You can exchange things. You can have conversations along the way. It's kind of like the whole pizza shop thing. Is the whole game of Splinterlands is to make sure you won't walking keys won't get to Gank on time, right? To distract you completely. So there's going to be boss fights. There are going to be like dynamic interactions of that he can exchange along the way to completely distract him, make sure he's completely delayed. There's so many things that he can do, right? There's enjoyments. There's like things that are difficult to do in the human world, like kayaking, for instance, right? The ability to pay someone 1 DEC or whatever just to kayak at a unique, a whitewater, or any of that whole experience, or to have landscapes that you never really see in the real life. Like how many people get to experience Angel Falls, right? To experience that, but to be able to have that order of magnitude built into a land mechanism, and to be able to hang out with some of your coolest friends, your digital friends that you see in real life sometimes, but you don't always get to see them in real life. To be able to sit there and say, this is what Angel Falls look like, the equivalent of Angel's Fall, but it's in the Splinterland, and it's so unique because it's only in this part of the Praetorian world, right? We have to walk all the way, or we have to take whatever vehicles means necessary. We can go on hikes. We can spend an entire time being totally immersed in this land element, and this is what makes land valuable to me, not what the other stuff.
You sound way more bullish on land than I am. To me, like
Well, for that part, yes.
I look at that. I mean, you're including, virtual and augmented reality and being able
Sure,
to
that's what the
traverse through
Guild
land.
Alliance, right? That's where the Guild Alliance and
Yeah, but like
your guilds come in. It's that whole experience. It's to be able to walk with your entire guild and your guild alliance, to partake in certain guild battles, to meet in certain land, right? Certain areas, it costs you a certain number of DEC, SPS. It costs you. You have to have a Rooney, right? The leader carries a Rooney with them, right? Because the Rooney allows you access without the ability, and to be able to do it in that dynamically, where you're going into an EVM environment for Ethereum. This is why, like, a Rooney mini game on the Ethereum network and the Ethereum bridge is so essential, right? Because at the end of the day,
are they working on that?
No, they're not. I don't think so. But it's something like PJ has the experience to understand fundamentally, right? To be able to put together. And I think without having access to an EVM network, Hive can only get them so far, and they can only get so far in this kind of world.
What does EVM stand for?
Ethereum Virtual Machine.
Okay. Like stuff like this just seems like it's at least 5 years out, because
way more, because we're talking about hundreds of trillions of dollars of market capitalization.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's been many strides made in the. And
this is what Mark Zuckerberg is trying to do.
Yeah, like there's many strides made on the VR side, but I'm still waiting for Apple to put out their, whatever version of goggles.
AR will always trump VR.
True.
Yeah. There will always be more money in AR.
I mean, this is a very broad vision of land. I think we're very, very far away from that.
Yes, but I think this is where. So when you invest in a business and when you invest in an individual, anyone can like chop something or produce something that's generic, right, and that's repeatable. But this is why, like, Larry Ellison gave Elon Musk money when Tesla was going bankrupt, right, on the verge. Not only because he's a friend and things like that, it's because his vision, if a guy can put things on moon, Mars, and can have this kind of grand vision beyond what Oracle can do, beyond what Larry Ellison can see. So as an investor, as an individual, like when you have, let's say you have $1,000 in your to your name, you want to invest in people who have more than $1,000, or you want to invest in someone that has more than $1,000 worth of ideas, right? So when you're talking about like Splinterlands as a business model, as a company, as a platform, to attract people like Microsoft, like Satya and those guys, or Sundar Pichai, or any of these guys, you have to have something that can say that, okay, I understand Microsoft is at $100 trillion for trajectory piece, but here's a platform that could potentially even surpass that. Now you're in a different conversation with them, and I think wealthy people, I think great politicians or great business leaders and thinkers, they're always going to look and gravitate towards people with larger, bigger ideas.
Sure.
And I think that's where the Splinterlands as a company needs to think about.
Oh, okay. So you're not saying that they're headed that way, but they think. I was about to say, are you saying that Splinterlands could be bigger than Microsoft in the future?
It could be, but it's not the gaming mechanism that will carry them. The gaming is just an entry. It's just an appetite, a doorway, right? It's just like what Tesla is doing with cars. Yeah. That's really not what Tesla wants to do. That's not what Elon wants to do at the end. He wants to create the preeminent factory in the entire world to create some of the coolest metals.
Well, I mean, I've said this from the beginning. Like, the game itself for Splinterlands is fun, but I think it'll always remain niche, right? But the platform that Splinterlands is building, like even just for example, with this small rudimentary thing that we have now, I actually think both GLX and Tower Defense could be bigger than Splinterlands the game.
Oh yeah, that's why as soon as I understand I'm going to move all my assets there.
So, because like if Tower Defense has a broader appeal, easier to get into, right? Easier to learn how to play and all that. Like it could have a larger audience. Now it exists within the Splinterlands ecosystem, but it could have a daily active user base that is higher than 150,000 whatever.
And think of how many bots, how many NPCs are going to be thriving in that economy. That's just a crazy amount. Think of that. I mean, you know.
That'll be, well, it's only 1 million SPS per month, but you never know. There could be an arbitrage opportunity there. I worry. I had this thought last night, and I know I shouldn't be saying this out loud and publicly. Not that I know anything, but like, I just worry about tower defense getting shelved. Again, I'm not saying that's based off.
It's
anything.
possible.
We haven't seen, the thing is, we haven't seen any dev updates in a while. And two, this is a partnership that's required for where they're required to pay a partner. And that income is coming in from DEC, of which they're only receiving 62%. So, to me, that's one of the easiest things to either put on the shelf for a little bit or even cancel if they're not receiving the revenue needed for it.
Yeah, I'm sure that's part of their reasons they're delaying some of these TD stuff.
I was just thinking about it because I'm like, okay, what can we expect from the town hall? I would love to get an update on GLG. I would love to get an update on tower defense. And I'm just like, I really hope the quietness is simply due to the fact that like it's the holidays. I would hate for them to come back and be like, tower defense, we decided we're going to push it off until 2024. Tower defense packs are already at a low. So that would suck.
Yeah.
All right, let's catch up on some more chat, and then we've hit 2 hours, so I think we can wrap up here if you're good with that.
Sure.
All right, so Alex is saying he bought a house in Ohio. Property is cheap. That's good. Splinterlands or Spider Tanks and Legends of Venari. I've heard of Legends of Venari, but I don't know what it's about. I do want to try Spider Tanks.
It's fun. It's just again, that dollar investment from $0 to
yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I see, and this is where. This is where the conversation shifts, right? Because I think Splinterlands, while it is a game, it also remains, in my opinion, like there are lucrative investment opportunities in it, just based on the understanding of how everything fits together. Whereas like something even like Gods Unchained, and I know you're not as happy with Gods Unchained or think that your time is worthwhile, but for me, Gods Unchained is appealing to a completely different group of people. Yeah. Like Gods Unchained, that will get the Magic, the MTG Arena people. We won't.
Correct. But I agree with you.
Because they already are spending their time playing a game, and so if they can earn $1 playing a game that's very similar, that to me is a no-brainer. They will easily onboard more people from the Web 2 space. Whereas for us, like half the conversation, more than half the conversation that happens is the tokenomics, right? Yeah. And people are trying to shift that towards the game. And I'm not saying that we don't need more features. I would love a better game. But people are in this. The big money is in this because of the tokenomics and the investment opportunity. So getting other folks who want
the platform.
Getting other people who want a cool game or a good enough game, but an awesome like DeFi project. I mean, those are the people that you want to appeal to, that will bring in the, tens of hundreds or thousands of dollars.
Yep.
So, all right. I looked at our high property too. Didn't want to deal with property managers long distance. That's fair. Actually, though, I would say that sometimes it can be good. Minnows would hate it too, since they use that SPS for rentals. So this is a good point from Virus. I have a question. Oh, go ahead.
Correct. And they'll have to shift towards products like Nifty Arcade and others. Yeah.
I've heard this put out before, but I haven't taken the time to really think through the full implications. So I want to get your thoughts on anybody in the comments that wants to chime in. How would you feel about the ability to burn staked SPS immediately for DEC?
I think it's horrible because it takes away the one element, which is forcing people to stake.
Well, the thing is that SPS
and burning is terrible. I just hope that people just don't burn an SPS for DEC. I know it'll happen eventually, but
I mean that's where the whole thing is moving to.
I think Luna and something that's gotten Matt a little bit distracted.
Yeah, it's
Terra. I think Do Kwon is still scratching his head on some stuff.
Here's the thing with the whole like Luna situation, right? Like, I think it's great for pumping the crap out of your token during a bull run. I just don't know how sustainable it is afterwards. So, but that's just me. So Tesla is a complete supply chain manufacturing company focusing on developing cutting edge batteries for multiple applications.
Yep. Batteries is just one area.
When's the Tesla phone coming? 14 days left of Winterfest. I've been trying to get after. I think he's saying this about the land, setting up my own land. This is the first time I'm hearing you say that, Alex. But it's true that I am lazy. Ignorance is grown up who tried to convince me as a kid to money doesn't grow on trees. Reality, money is printed. Yeah.
Yep.
That is true.
It's just your idea. Money is just an idea. Once we move it from the gold standard.
That's what we all just agree upon. Whatever is a good transfer or store of value. All right. Thank you for taking a shot, Alex. The bot leaderboard. So Virus saying I kind of doubt SPL will get to that point in the next 10 years. Okay, yeah, I'm with Virus on this. I was saying 5 years because my hope is if they're trying to do some massive stuff, they will ride the next Bitcoin halving / bull run, take a lot of profits from there, and then start investing in the developers needed to bring a vision like that to life. But that's to me like 3-4 years away, 3-4 years before they can even start. You could buy a dirt bike with vouchers. How many vouchers?
A lot.
Yeah, a lot. Tower defense packs are even better than what Steam Monsters alpha packs were when they were first offered.
That's probably not far from the truth.
Why though?
A lot of these.
Why?
I think it'll just get dragged, and I think.
Because you can. They probably won't stop the earning on the 1 million SPS there.
Yep.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I'm holding some, so I'll be happy. All right, Aaron, we'll see you later. Last comment we'll get to here. Not sure. I see Flo saying, not sure if you covered my idea of using DAO SPS to buy DEC. 1/3 of all DEC is owned by the company. 1/3 is in LP strong hands, leaving 1/3 on the market. I mean,
better they just empty it, buy Chaos Legion packs, and send it to the nifty arcade guys.
I literally want them to do anything with the DAO value. It's like $1 million or $2 million worth of value. It keeps dropping, but there's value sitting there that's not providing any benefit to the ecosystem. And while people want the DAO to build up assets over time, the white paper does allow for 65 months. Like we have SPS for years. So I would rather get the economy right now and then focus on rebuilding the DAO or, what's in the DAO later.
Yeah, and they'll have to switch the Rift Watcher to be sold with DEC, and also the nodes to be able to sell with DEC and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. All right. Foyet, any final thoughts before we head out?
I'm good. Thank you.
You're good. All right. Well, appreciate you guys coming to hang out. I don't think I'll be live on the 1st. It'll be a holiday, so I'll probably be buried in movies, ice cream, and pizza, and a bunch of
moonshine.
And moonshine. There you go. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if I have a feeling. I have a feeling Dark is going to hit me up and be like, "Oh, we should live stream on that day." So we'll see if he wants to do Sunday. But for now, if not, I will see you guys on Tuesday. Maybe we'll. I don't know. I'm free like the rest of the weekend, so maybe we'll do an impromptu stream at some point if people want to chat more. But Foyet, thank you for taking the time, man. This is always super fun. I feel like I learn a lot. And for folks in the chat, have an amazing rest of your day. I'll see y'all soon.
All right.